Very good evening to all and welcome to the opening round of the Door Sim Racing League here at Charlotte on Maconi Entertainment. I'm Howie Burrows, soon to be joined by Sky Shrek in the commentary booth, and these cars are pacing around the track right now to begin their race. So let's not cut to any timeout. We have on the front row Joshua Hyatt leading this race over Stephen Beard, leading with Joshua Hyatt on the outside line, and we're due to go green in the restart zone. Away we go. 26 to Stephen Bird on the inside. Hyatt running the outside. Around 10 to 11 cars on this grid today, running 280 laps of Charlotte. It's 400 miles running right alongside the Coke 600. There's going to be a real endurance challenge for all these drivers as they punch their way through this race on this typically, as ever, punishing track. On the outside, Daniel Best. He has a good run right into the wall, though, out of 4, which is probably going to eat up a lot of drivers' time around here. Made it away single file. Daniel Best being taken, trying to get through Hyatt. He might just be ready to take this lead straight out from the back rows. Apologies for the very quick turnaround of broadcast. We were having some emergency situations running into the show, and I'll be joined by Sky Shrek very, very soon to keep me going sane on this quite long run late at night in Charlotte, running alongside the real Coke 600. Door League will be following the NASCAR Cup Series schedule at a reduced length for the rest of the season. This run started very well by Hyatt, who's finally managed to make quite a good gap run away from Daniel Best. 3 attempts for now. Drivers really going to have to keep their heads down, though, and going to have to start focusing on the long run sooner rather than later. Anyone that knows Charlotte well knows that this track absolutely shreds your tyres like a cheese grater. And this will be one of the last races done on this old scam, with a new one coming in on the next season, of course. Drivers trying to pick their lines out. Best a little bit off the bottom. It would leave room for William Hewitt in that 11 car if he chose to go for it. Hyatt choosing to take the middle to the top now that he's got a lot of clean air and not quite the room for people to run quite under him. Hyatt very, very fast out here today, and I wonder how you're probably not going to get a tremendous amount of cautions with a field of this size. There may be mistakes that creep into drivers when racing for this long, even not at 600 miles. This combination absolutely drains you to your core, and drivers have been doing a whole lot of it with iRacing Coke 600s, almost complete now for the week. I chose to avoid the track for those ones myself. That just starts getting more tiresome than fun. Lots of quite intense pack racing still up near the back. Stephen Bird there runs into the wall. That's going to let Nate Pollard in on the inside. And pulling in a little bit closer to Hyatt, I see. Daniel Best not done with his chase at all. They're too wide behind the whole way around the track, Hewitt and Carpenter. I always find a way to complain about that tri-oval on this track every single time I'm here, because it is absolutely brutal. You'll come off the transition, that banking, you'll land right onto the flat track, your car will get unsettled, have to try and keep it together as you run right into that oval again. But the lack of banking on it, it's going to be unclear for all.
The worst part, especially with Charlotte, a place like this and a scan like this, is how bumpy it is with these next-gen cars. They run very, very stiff suspension, so you're getting bounced around, not as bad as in real life, but even on the sim, you are feeling every single one of those bumps and divots and holes throughout the track, and it is very easy for the car to get thrown out of place.
Well, hello to Jeff Maconi, who's just here on a temporary basis here as we await a further cover. It's going to get even bumpier soon, isn't it? I mean, the new scan, I think, is going to be even more brutal unless we lose the baby bottom legacy track. This is a horrible, horrible bumpy track to run around for quite this long. These cars sort of help you out a bit with the power steering nowadays, but still, there are certain parts of the track where you feel it and you think, I don't want to run there anymore.
Absolutely, and you are correct. With the new scan that will be coming in, the track is going to be even bumpier and even worse. So you never know how it's going to end up shaking out, but Charlotte is a very fun track to run at, and I think these drivers are going to have a very good time. 260 laps, quite the endurance event, especially for iRacing, but it's going to really come down to who can manage their car over the long runs. These races always devolve into very, very, very long runs, and they feel like hours on end inside the car. So the driver that is best at just keeping their level head, they may not be the fastest right out the gate, but as long as they have a level head, they will come out on top in the end.
On the topic of best, Daniel Best made up the gap to Hyatt over the last few laps and makes the pass clear on the inside. Hyatt gave him a lot of space and tries to make another dive for the outside, just covered off in his wake. Daniel just decided to turn up the pace and take control of this one. Really not a track with a terribly large drafting factor as ever, Charlotte. It sort of comes at you thick and fast, even for an intermediate. It's so thin and so abrasive. Danny Carpenter now looking to get the best of Hyatt, who washes up just a bit on exit, given plenty of space. We don't want to caution this early, but not enough pace to quite get far enough alongside to force him up. Hyatt keeps the P2.
And you have to wonder if that's not a move for just a little bit of self-preservation, whether one driver wants it more than the other, or if it's just a case of, okay, you want it this early, I've got another 250 laps, another 250 times around this track in order to get it back and find my way to the front again. So you don't know, it's like I was saying, you don't always have to be the fastest short run, but when it gets into those long runs where you're making 2 or 3 green flag pit stops, it feels like forever, and you can make up a lot of time over those green flag laps.
Now half a second on Daniel Best. He's decided to turn it up and run away. This top two still running side by side, and I was almost worried about Hewitt trying to throw it for free. I've definitely appreciated your insight, Jeff, but I believe Sky Shrek has just about made it into the studio. It's been a difficult day, to say the least. Maybe they can update us later. But thank you very much for the cover and introducing Sky Shrek whenever they're ready to cue themselves in. We're not too deep into this race. You've got a lot to see.
Good luck, Sky. It's going to be a fun one out there, and it's always great to see. I'm going to be watching. Good racing, everybody. Good luck.
Yeah, it was one heck of a day. We're here, though, now from Charlotte. We're getting ready to go. Only about 13 laps missed, and we'll be set back up here in just a second.
Daniel Best really makes the run. 2 big hits into the wall. Hyatt and Carpenter both making slams. It's on my side. Pollard not gaining too much of a gap. I've actually caught Pollard on this channel earlier this week. I'm of the belief he was running Friday Night Lights on Maconi Entertainment on Charlotte. So he's had a lot of practice of a lot of time around there, and he was one of the big players in the middle of that race. Do also have stages here as ever. As ever, I say, as we're not here for the first time. Lap 55 and 110 will mark 2 stages on this race. It's going to be a lot of time for kit strategy. Sounds like we're going into pit stops during those stages too. 100% fuel, 5 sets of tyres, and only 1 green-white checkered attempt with no fast repairs on offer.
Pit strategy will always play a factor here at Charlotte. We are a little bit early in this race, but these drivers are already thinking about it. You got to save so you can make it for those stages, especially in that long final stage here. 150 laps is a long time to be running, and particularly in a race like this, if we run all of that green, it could be really difficult for some of these drivers, so they can't let their guard down at all tonight.
Daniel Best really made the best of the run. He did not start on pole, and that was my commentator's curse. First event, he's striking again, a huge slide off turn 3. He keeps it together. He hasn't quite done a Larson from today, but now it's going to be Hyatt running the outside, just about forced back. That keeps him 3 in a row behind. William Hewitt's going to be staring at this 3 wide, hoping it doesn't go horribly wrong. Not too many room for excessive cautions on a field like this, but they definitely can still happen. Just one mistake in a race that goes this long, and it all goes wrong. Best into the wall again. You want to be careful with some of those wall taps. 19 laps into 260. If you're already eating too many chunks out of it, you might run into some issues. Pollard on the inside of Carpenter, who's running that high side. Looks like
That
they're about
too.
safe for now.
Got two cars holding pretty steady in front of him. The 28 there now trying to make a look to the outside. He'll back it into the bottom. Seems to be running a little bit aggressive right now. He's going to want to get that move done pretty soon. He'll take a little bit of a peek up here on the front straightaway, looking for the outside down into one. We'll see if he gets it done here. Oh, two's up the track. Little tight there through the corner. That's going to give that 28 that second spot right there. He's going to hold that spot. Danny Carpenter's got it. Car moving through on the outside there, passing Joshua Hyatt, sending him all the way back to 4th. And he might even go back to 5th here because Hewitt in that 11 car is getting it done, trying to put him back to 5th.
Just giving a little bit of shout out to the drivers further down the grid. We didn't quite get time coming into the show to run through the qualifying and the starting grid. Quite a few factors in our way. William Lark sits in 6th. Stephen Bird sits in 7th. I'll get back to the rest of that when we're done with the three wide up front. Nate Pollard makes a charge for it. Best losing so much time. Carpenter and Pollard now are 1 and 2. Very much out of nowhere, a lot of speed down that back stretch. I think Best tyres might have been a little burned up by the mistake he had into the infield. That's all grass there in iRacing, not the turf we have there right now. But he's proven himself fast. He's going to try and get on the inside of Pollard again. Not quite clear on exit. Behind Michael Reeves in the 00. Thomas Freeman in the 17. And Ronald Judd sits at the back for now in the 64.
Pollard's running a little bit up in comparison to Best and some of these other cars sitting right behind him. Really tight racing up here. All through the top 6 or 7 cars, really. You've got Carpenter to Hewitt, all less than a second to each other. Very close racing up here for a lot of these guys. Looking at the pit strategy right now, as you mentioned, looking like it'll likely be good for this stage, but once we get into that 3rd stage, that's when these drivers are really going to start getting cautious. Lark is going to make a move up the inside of Hyatt as he continues to slide back through the field, and as they're doing that, looking for the lead there. Pollard tried to claim Carpenter the outside, but he couldn't get it done. He'll stay 2nd for now.
Just behind him, Daniel Best slid again out of 4. He keeps his position, but it just seems to keep getting that car excessively loose out of the bend. He was the fastest at the start of the run. There's no way he's the fastest now. A battle for the lead. Nate Pollard, big run down that start finish, down the back straight even. I'll tell the difference between those two straights probably by the end of today. It's not that hard. Pollard to the bottom, but you get a lot more momentum on that high side around that triover, which can make all of the difference entering the end of these races. When it comes to drag race, there's contact between the two as Pollard slides up the track. They're still dead even, and stuff like this could matter for a car with a lot of dirty air. Carpenter clears for now.
Pollard really wants it though, and I don't think it'll be too long before he tries to go for it. We're going to get a replay here of Daniel Best in the 5 car working down through this set of corners right here. Oh, really loose out there. Big slide through the grass, and that'll give up his position to Joshua Hyatt, who's gotten back through to P3. As we go back live, he's in the fence once, twice, sliding it all the way at a 2. 5 car struggling right now, dropping back closer to Stephen Bird in 6th. Not a great couple laps for him.
We're going to need an eye on what just happened to Nate Pollard under that last replay. I'm afraid every time you go to replay, something horrible happens to somebody, but he's now sitting in last after the biggest loose snap we've seen of the race so far, the biggest loose snap we're going to see of the race so far. He's in fact dipping into pit road. The damage from this shot was so bad. Right into that wall is how it happened. Battling up for first. A real loose slide out that corner. The next-gen car loves doing that. It's a huge duck into the wall, and I actually saw there Best trying his best to avoid that incident, but that car is beaten up and bruised, and there's no fast repair. Pollard's sitting in the pit lane, but he's going to go laps down.
Yeah, when you hit the wall like that, really easy to have a toe link go on you. Can be a big issue in this car specifically. It's really easy to break those toe links and get some damage. Still looking right here. Hyatt back up to 3rd. had some moments there, dropped back through the field, but with some problems for the cars running in front of him, sitting back in a podium position. William Hewitt has been trying to get around him in that 11, that black and green car for a little while now, but he hasn't been able to do it. Trying to find some different lines, go where that 2 car is not, maybe get a little bit of cleaner air, and hope that helps him move up through the field here tonight.
It's Hewitt on the rear of Hyatt, who managed to make his way up through a series of unfortunate events around him, much a little bit like Lark, really sliding up high in that transition out of 4, one of the hardest transitions on the NASCAR calendar. And these cars certainly behave very differently to other stock cars around here as well, much with their high aero underbellies. That means they have those sort of like snaps that you don't quite expect out of them if you're not totally prepped for them. It can be tamed, but it takes a lot to tame them.
Certainly does. Battle for the lead still going here. Lark looked a little up the inside there going down the front straightaway, but he wasn't able to get it done because the 28 of Carpenter shut the door pretty quickly. They'll stay close through 1 and 2. This battle's been going for about 15 or 20 laps now. These two have not gotten away from each other, and now Lark will get another run on the bottom as we look down into 3 and 4. We're still going at it for the lead. They're going to stay side by side on entry and through mid-corner, but the 28 of Carpenter will start to prevail as we head towards the exit. He'll get down in front of that 10 car. He will retain his lead here to take lap 32.
That was a good shot of the run, but you need a little bit more than that to clear out at Charlotte. It can be hard to pass at this 1.5 mile, and they're not all the same around here in NASCAR County. And this one particularly is very, very thin and very, very punishing. Worth noting for these cars, open setups are available, so drivers do have the ability to change their car's parameters and adjust the way they feel, not only over a run, but over the course of the race if they have the knowledge. Lark tries to sneak in behind Carpenter and actually gets sent upwards into the wall just a little. Now going to try and cut under on exit. He's tried this a few times. He's certainly a bit faster for now. You'd think their side draft would be working, but they're pretty dead even, and the momentum, I think, on that trioval might play out Carpenter. A lot of space being given. It's a bit of a drag race finish that lap, but Carpenter finishes the lap ahead.
He's got that momentum working on that top line right now. The inside just doesn't seem like it has the same speed. Lark, he's gonna get into the side of Carpenter. That car is into the inside wall and the caution is out. William Lark is gonna take the lead, but Danny Carpenter is not at all gonna be happy about that one.
That is not the way you want to claim the lead of a race at Charlotte. This early as well, making enemies on lap 34. I mean, there's bad luck, there's bad fortune, there's also putting a target on your back. Nate Pollard still repairing in the pits is hardly going to get his lap back at this rate, but that's possibly going to be some big repairs required. Lark's coming his way up the field. And I do hear it's apologies from Lark on Danny on the microphone.
We're going to get a replay here of what happened. It's 10 and 28. We were watching on the in-car of Lark. Haven't seen what happened yet from the out-of-car cam. Yeah, just kind of gets a little bit up the racetrack there. The 28 was running a little off the wall, but the 10 car just moved up down the straightaway. Sent Carpenter into the inside wall. Hopefully he doesn't have too much damage.
That does just look like one of those racing accidents in the grand scheme of things, and you don't really want to be making aggressive moves this early. And that's the sort of stuff that happens on this track. We do have live race control in case there are major incidents on the track. Let's hoping we won't need too much getting cleared up as every driver jumps in for their first stop. 5 total changes available, and that's a huge miss of the pit box. Daniel Best misses pit box by a mile and had to reverse back. So he might be joining back of this line.
We will
like
see.
Lark's fastest out of pit lane, but Bird hasn't stopped.
Yeah, I was about to say Bird has not come into the pit lane yet, so if he doesn't pit next time, he will cycle around to be the leader of this race. Lark will be second. Hyatt will be third. Hewitt fourth. Reeves 5 out of pit lane. And then it'll be Freeman and Judd back from there. Carpenter and Best are both still in the box getting service on those two cars. Obviously, Carpenter with the damage from spinning it into the inside wall. Best, we saw it in the wall a couple times there on that run. So he'll be trying to work on the damage that came from that. Bird will restart up front, though, as it stands right now, and Lark going to be P2. Hyatt is P3. We'll see if he's got a better long-run car this time, or if it falls off after about 20 laps again.
If he doesn't make the stop this time, this is going to be a tough restart. Bird is staying out. He does want to hold this race lead. We're not even that close to the end of the stage right now. There's a long way to go. So as much as he gets to lead this restart, he's going to drop like a rock the moment it begins. He's 37 laps on those tires. The rest obviously at 1 lap, and one of those is run at this speed. So does it really count? We're 1 to green. It'll be Bird on the inside, Lark on the outside. And how long can Bird hold on? We have been seen a penalty, by the way, has been given out for causing the wreck. Assessed to Lark at end of line.
So he will be dropping off to the back there, and I think we'll see who that promotes. It should be the 11 of William Hewitt that'll get to go up there to second place. If that 10 car does in fact drop out, there he goes. He'll go right across to the apron, and that'll promote the 11 up to P2. And it looks like Thomas Freeman in the 17 will go up to P4 in that.
And that's still leaving our sitting duck out there, William Hewitt. I hope there isn't a wreck caused by this checkup, because this is going to be a very slow launch off the start from our race leader.
Getting ready to go here. It's going to be Bird on the inside, Hewitt on the outside. We'll hit that restart zone. Good jump for Stephen Bird. He'll get away for now on those worn tires. Made a great job to get off there on that worn rubber. We'll see if he can hold on to it here, because Joshua Hyatt is already trying to make a move up the inside of the 11 and get himself towards the front.
See a lot of smoke further up the road. Daniel Best looks like exiting pit lane quite a bit late, repairing the damage. Had a bit of a burnout on the back stretch, but got out of the way just in time. Not quite out of the way, because here comes the field. Hewitt dropping back. It's Bird dropping back. It's Hewitt who's already made the run, and in fact I think Hyatt's going to try and join him too. Bird hugging it outside. I think he knows he has to get out of the way and can't really race these guys. He's hoping this plays into his long-term strategy. Best out there will be fully repaired, just burn up the tires a little bit on exit, but should still be running at decent pace. Will be caught eventually 1 lap down, so another caution, of which 2 are obviously guaranteed this race with these stages. Could put him back in this. He did prove himself fast out of the gates despite these little errors.
Move gonna go for 4th now. Bird up the racetrack, still on those worn tires. That'll move Danny Carpenter through up to P4. And now he's got Freeman and Lark sitting back there 6th and 7th, who are gonna try to get the move going on these 2 cars. Let's see, here you go. Yep, still on the outside. He's being helped because they're 2 wide behind him, but he's still holding that for now.
He's really holding up the whole group. 8 temps, and the drivers behind are probably just asking, like, how can we get through you? How can we get past this situation? They're going to send it 3 wide both ways. Pollard on the outside. Make it 4. I think Rudd's the only one that was left out of that. They've all managed to clear the slow car now, and that is a very, very slow car. So he's going to hope that the strategy works out in his favor. A bit of a tag against the wall as well. Up front, it's a good battle of 4. Hewitt still leads, but Hyatt, Carpenter, and Reeves, fresh tires, they are fast.
There's a gap there between the top 4 and the next 4 because of Stephen Bird. They all had to make it around that 26 car. We'll go side by side for 5th up here. That is the battle. Now we're side by side for the lead as well between Hewitt and Hyatt. That 2 car, we know he has the short run speed. He's looking on the top side. We'll see if he can get it done right here. That 28 will jump up high, following him around to all the way up on the wall, trying to make speed as he comes off the corner, and that will get him the run. He'll get clear of that 11 car of William Hewitt, and that might open the door for the 28 of Carpenter, who's going to look to get around that 11 car as well, dropping it a lane lower than the 2 is right now, but the end result going to be the same, and for now, it'll be Carpenter under that second spot.
Hyatt's hoping to just hope they hold each other up for as long as possible and side draft each other back. These cars running side by side can sometimes really struggle with the aero, especially in the current iRacing model. They're getting a huge aero revamp and tire revamp very, very soon, of course, with the new season, lots of other content coming, but I think everyone's getting a little bit of what they love there. Carpenter tags the outside wall from my perspective as Hyatt now being encroached in a bit. As soon as they run single file, the driver in the lead finds it hard to quite get away. Reeves is in 4th, and then Lark has quite the gap behind, still trying to make up time when he was being held up there by Stephen Bird's car, which is now miles off the pace, 6 seconds back from the leader, hoping that something else comes his way and he can rejoin the race. Best hoping he doesn't get lapped in time, of course, because that puts him 2 down, and that would, even if he gets the wave around at that point, still need to do more work to be a part of this race. But it's a very, very long race, so I wouldn't worry too much about 1 or 2 laps at this stage. I mean, Pollard's even in this right now. You can see his number 16 yellow and green car running around. He's at 9 laps down from the leader, but he's hoping that good fortune comes his way through bad fortune coming to the other drivers.
It would be nice for him if it would work out, but it would take a lot at this point. We definitely need about 8 or 9 cautions, and that's about 1 caution per every car we have on the lead lap right now. So he is going to need a chaos race to get back up front. In this front pack, Reeves is starting to drop off a little bit, and the top 2 is very clearly becoming the 2 of Hyatt and the 28 of Carpenter. Hewitt has fallen almost a second back of that 2 car now off of this line. Holding it 1 and 2 was that 2 and that 28. Gaps forming even back a 4th. It's about 1.6 from Reeves to Lark, 1.1 Lark to Judd. The gaps are definitely opening up back there with 7 to go in the stage.
I'd like to clarify just a few things about this league that I may have gotten wrong on my very rushed intro. They have been following the whole NASCAR Cup Series schedule up to now. So they've been running through plenty of races. This ain't quite our season debut, but this is the season debut of Maconi Entertainment, and we should be carrying the rest of this championship. So make sure you subscribe. We'll be here same time, same place. Danny Carpenter looking to get the run on the inside, down that back straight, and it's a very, very fast running car on the inside. Still not sure which line has become truly dominant yet. I saw a lot of drivers in the real life race running the outside when they were fast, but that was fast inside for Carpenter. It's also full point standing. Some of the drivers are not here today, though. The championship being led by Trevor Baxter. We haven't quite seen Michael Reeves sits in 2nd with Daniel Best in 3rd. So there is certainly a field of drivers that drops in and out of these races, and you may see some of the field chop and change as the season goes on.
That we may, because like I said, we've only got about 10 cars here tonight. 20 was the count last week, so a lot of drivers kind of dropping in and out here. A little bit shorter field tonight, but next week I think we'll be back closer to that 20 mark as we head on to the next race. Carpenter still holds that lead pretty steady over Hyatt, and these two have opened up a 1.2 second gap to the 11 of Hewitt behind. Nowhere close there from 2nd back to 3rd. Doing a great job of holding it up here. Bird is about half a lap down right now. 15 seconds. We'll get to the stage here pretty shortly, and that'll be a little bit of a bailout.
I think Best will be very happy with the stage as well. He was very, very fast earlier in this race, and quite frankly, he's showing his pace by staying ahead of these cars that have just not made an inroad on him. Obviously, the damage from earlier, that's all been repaired off, and when we get our lucky dogs, he'll be the first one around to get 1 lap back and be at the end of the longest line, something that he could very much punch his way out of if he's able to keep the car under him, which was his undoing at the very beginning of the race. Danny Carpenter looking quite good for a possible stage win, keeping Hayat quite far back. There's still obviously a chance, but you don't quite want to wreck it just to lose on the first stage of such a long race. It is the longest of the schedule, and what a track to run your longest one of the schedule, of course.
This has been a great recovery for that 28 of Danny Carpenter. I mean, we saw him in the wall not too long ago. It was all going wrong for that 28 car, but he's done a great job to drive it back up through the field, get back up here to the lead after spending about a minute in the pit lane just to fix damage on that car. I'm not sure if he got it all the way fixed, but he's certainly driving it like it is right now to hold this lead and continue to lead more laps over Joshua Hayat. He'll take the white flag here in the stage, and the 28 is doing a great job to hold on. Hayat is going to need a late push here.
A very, very late push indeed, and part of me's wondering whether he's even quite going to go for it. End of lap 55, we'll get our yellow flag, and the run isn't there to materialize. So it's been an up and down roller coaster on the first stage. I cannot deny that one bit, but Danny Carpenter takes our first white and green flag, which is not quite something that iRacing has the power to show yet. Expecting that caution as soon as the last car crosses the line. It's probably on Daniel Best, so I think we might get another lap of this track.
Yeah, Daniel Best is right in front of him there. If it's last lead lap car, Stephen Bird making his way back to the line right about now on those 55 lap old tires. He made him work the whole run, lost a lot of speed, and the yellow will fly now with Stephen Bird crossing the line. Danny Carpenter, see him go through to start lap 57. He's your stage 1 winner.
It's been a real roller coaster ride for everyone on this track, and it's very clearly a fast, skilled pack. Quite a few mistakes caught some, and Nate Pollard's going to be hoping this somehow becomes a caution fest to end the day if he's going to make back 9 laps. But that's just sometimes how the table turns. Daniel Best expecting to get his lap back under the pacing. Stage 1 comes to an end. Stephen Bird going to be really wanting to get those tires on, but even if he hasn't got many points in this stage, he's going to have learned how a really long run on this car feels, and that might help him at the end of it all. Danny Carpenter really took advantage of a little bit of everything in his way, as we see drivers dropping into pit lane, and not all of them. Carpenter and Hewitt stay out. Hayat's the first one into pit road. Makes me wonder quite what his game plan is, as we see Best running up around the outside of the track. Drivers dropping into their stalls as we speak. Going to be a bit of a race of pit road, but it's not going to be a race to have the front row because of the way these 2 leading cars have come out. Some quite slow into their booze, but there's one clearly running fastest out. It's William Lark. Back in it, fresh tires. Next up, it's Thomas Freeman, followed by Hayat, Reeves, and Bird. Had quite a slow run into the pit box. It would happen with about 28 lap older tires. So he joins the back of this as Ronald Judd trying to crawl into them. I'm trying to work out what's going on. Daniel Best has stopped again, and he's gotten himself a black flag.
That is not ideal for that 5 car, because he had just gotten that lap back, and he is not going to have that lap back anymore.
It looks as if, obviously, he stops a lap late. To me, I'm checking his onboard, and it looks like he might have literally just gotten like a speeding over the line or something like that. It looks like he enters fine. It doesn't look egregious to me like there's a lockup. It just sort of maybe looks like just a couple miles an hour over the line, and iRacing doesn't budge. He crosses the line at a kilometers per hour readout on my screen. Let me work out the maths. I'll work out the maths on if he was over pit lane speed limits, Sky.
Yeah, you know, kilometers per hour to miles per hour, a little bit of moon runes there, but I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually. We use freedom units here. This is Charlotte.
It's very true. I mean, I'm really invading your race. I'm invading your Memorial Day weekend. His high speed in the pit lane clock 65 miles per hour.
Seems a little high, especially for a track like Charlotte there.
He ran like a second or two. He ran like a second or two down the pit lane at 65. Like, it wasn't even just like he sped going to the box. He hits the line at 40 and just goes up to 60 and flies on through and then slows down for his box. So that's unusual, but that black flag is more than just a small idle mistake, and he's going to have to serve a stop and hold under green for it.
Yeah, you see it on the graphic there. Pit road speed is 30 miles an hour. I'm not sure if it is in North Carolina, but I think 65 and a 30 does count as reckless driving in certain places, so it'd get you a penalty, really no matter where you are.
Trust me, in the UK, I can confirm it's not something you can do. So that's one thing that we share in common. We're probably going to talk plenty about things we share in common. We're prepping ourselves up for the restart. It's Carpenter and Hewitt, both on 23-lap old tyres. They're going for it. They're sits in pit lane entry, waiting to serve that black flag as soon as we go green. As we go, it's a good launch from the top two. Let's see how long it takes until they drop back. A lot of tussling behind, but it's Lark who's able to jump away from the rest. That's going to have his first shot at taking down these leaders.
Tight battle up here for the lead still, because that 11 car of Hewitt has stayed side by side with the 28 of Danny Carpenter. Hewitt is trying to get out to that lead, and he will take it for now over Carpenter and over William Lark there in third. Lark and Carpenter have already gotten together once. Let's see if there's any bad blood between those two as they head off into turn one. William Hewitt seems to have a little bit of a short run car. He always fires off really well on these restarts, and then it kind of starts to fade as we head a couple laps down, but we're side by side for P2 as Lark gets clear of Carpenter, and the more they race for second, the more laps Hewitt is going to get to lead out front. Hyatt will follow that 10 car through, and Michael Reeves in the 00 will try to do the same.
Remarkably, I'm not actually completely sure about fuel mileage in the next gen. Am I right in believing that it is very similar to the Xfinity cars? Because that would help me out a whole lot. Around the 40 to 45 to maybe 50 mark.
I'd say it's about the same as the Xfinity cars, yes.
So that means that if we stay green, a pit stop is expected under here. We didn't get one last time because of the yellow flag. Let everybody stop their car, and that's probably what these cars that stayed out were counting on. Lark finally takes control of that lead. Hewitt running the high side on those worn tires. The two just trying to keep out of the way as others in their slow car while maintaining position all the while. High side again for Hewitt. Hyatt's going to be a lot faster on the bottom, and they'll see if Reeves is able to make it alongside and through on exit at the same time. He definitely will have the traction to get it done. Now Hyatt's going to make that chase for Lark in the lead. That line cut off at the very last second to get in his way, but there's momentum on that high side. It's quite strong here today.
We know if you get a caution, you can make it, because Stephen Bird did go the whole first stage without pitting. He was also very far off the pace at the end, to the point that I think he might have been just trying to save a little bit. So we'll see how this all turns out. The stage is on 110, so it'll be the same length as the first one, 55 laps. By the time we went green here, a little closer to 50 green flag laps in this stage. So that's what these drivers are going to be planning for and having to run. We'll see what the strategy is, but I do have to imagine Hewitt and Carpenter are running for the play that everyone is going to have to pit at some point in this stage, and they can do a little bit of an undercut.
They will have they might have a slightly faster second half of that run, but it's going to rely on there being very few mistakes. We did get a caution in the first stage. Obviously, the rate of cautions is going to correlate with the number of cars on the track. These drivers, they race very close. I assume they aim to race very respectfully. I only say I assume because it's my first time seeing them on the track, but we've seen some good respectful racing out here today so far. But obviously, fewer chances for a flashpoint means your runs naturally run a bit longer, and with this field just a little bit smaller than even the average for this league, as we see there, Hewitt, he dipped below the blue line on turn 3, and then that gets his car totally loose and totally loses it. It's a good save to keep it together, but that's him all the way at the back of the line. It's only Thomas Freeman behind on fresh tyres who is having trouble keeping up for now. It's interesting that among all this, Nate Pollard is racing fairly well. He's 9 down on the leader, so I don't see a world where we have enough cautions to get him back on the lead lap, because you can just imagine if each caution takes a car out of contention that will be out of drivers by the time he gets enough. Daniel Best is now down 2, unfortunately, so that he would need another driver-caused caution in order to get himself back on that lead lap. And after being quite fast at the beginning of the race, it has to be just a disappointing run that you're just going to have to persevere through to hope something comes out of. Sometimes you just have those days where you just try and persevere.
For sure, Pollard's going to do his best. I mean, if we do get an accident here and a car ends up out of the race, that would be great for that 16 car, because that's another point for him. And I think that's going to be most of what he is hoping for right now. We're watching on board the 26 of Stephen Bird. He's on those fresh tires, and he's got one extra set compared to all the cars in front of him, because he made the entire first stage on one set of tires. He is lurking on Ronald Judd there in the 64, trying to get around that car. He's got William Lark one spot ahead of him, or 2 spots ahead of him, my bad, in the 10. Judd will jump to the outside there, trying to build some momentum to take him up to the rear bumper of that 10 car. Hasn't been able to get it done yet as Joshua Hyatt continues to dominate.
This is a legendary run for Hyatt. He didn't have this pace in the first run, but he's absolutely delivering it right now. Bird very much in the middle of this pack, proving that he is fast when his tyres are up to spec with the rest. But he got to gain a lot of knowledge from that first run about the car's pace in a long run too, and about how he can make the fuel last. So I think he thinks he's in a pretty good position. Just losing out on one stage is not the end of the world in terms of a race like this. There's still so many laps further down. 2.2 seconds back to Michael Rees in P2, and then 1.1 back to Judd in third. This 1-2-3 has completely strung out, just some out of character from our first stage. This time, drivers are taking their lead and they're running away from them early in these runs. Our 2 old tyre drivers, the Carpenter and Hewitt, are having some battles among themselves. Freeman still a little bit further back, but now Nate Pollard dropping right below the line. I think he's doing for a pit stop, an early one. Maybe he might just be deciding to park the car, maybe not this early. But trying to get the measure of Judd right now. They're on equal tyre life, so now they're just going to play a duel of their own. This is the closest battle so far.
This is the closest battle right here. Judd is running a little bit lower down the straightaways here and taking a shallow entry into the corner in that 64 car right now. He is holding that line pretty well, but that could maybe open up a gap to Bird if he sticks with it on the top. Tries to get around the 64 that way. Judd back right down about a half a lane up from the bottom. Bird running a lot deeper there on exit to try to build speed, and then once again Judd very slow to come back up the racetrack, kind of running about a lane down there. Bird's got chances to jump. He just doesn't quite have the speed to do it and fly around Judd on the outside.
It still hasn't materialized yet. He can't give up hope, but he also can't get too aggressive today. It's going to be about threading that needle and waiting for the right time to strike. Reeves has closed in just a little on Hyatt. The gap's 1.5 seconds, and the two are going to just mostly running laps in their own space right now. But they're probably also playing for their tyres. They're probably also trying to play a long game. I'm not going to count necessarily on either of them deciding to make an outrageous, bold chase. Judd has been able to get away from Bird at about the same rate. Further back, Hewitt is 1.4 off Carpenter, so our 2 old lap tyre runners are still having a great race of it themselves, even if they're off the pace of the rest of the field. You can see they're pretty close there in the background. But everybody's really settled into their own groove right about now. We're seeing only kind of marginal gains on losses, and in fact, Bird's sort of running away from Mark. Judd's running away from Bird even. I'll get it right. I'll get it right. It's 1 a.m. for me. That's my excuse.
Hey, you've got that tiredness. I had a little bit of car trouble, but we were here now for sure. These drivers out here are going to be hoping that they don't have the same kind of car trouble I did, or else it might be the end of their nights. Looks like Pollard has maybe retired from the session here because he is back in the pits. He is now 13 laps down, so likely the end of the night for that 16 car will put us down to a 9-car field. If so, Reeves still sitting back there in second. Hyatt still holding that gap steady at about 2 seconds. Judd trying to close in on that 00 car.
And now Judd looking to try and get the move done. That was a quick closing in. Judd must have been eating away at this over the course of the run. Lap car in the way. It's Daniel Best. He's sort of in the middle of this battle. Doesn't really know which way to run to get out of the way. Very much side by side, and Judd gets a great exit entering turn 1. They have to run single file to get around the lap car. He's unfortunately now 3 down on the rest of the field. They were looking almost dangerously close down that back stretch as Bird wants to now make the tackle onto Reeves. Bit of a block down the track. Space left open for Reeves if there was pace to take it. They are at each other's throats now, and I think Reeves is going to stop at nothing to get this done on Judd and get out of the way of Bird behind.
Reeves is still looking on that top line, and he's in the fence off the corner. Good job by him to hold on to that car. I'm surprised he managed to hold the lead off of Judd with a slam like that. Judd has a bad entry, slides it up way loose mid-corner. Bird's right up to the rear end of that 64 car, and he'll get the run down the straightaway. Judd goes from battling for second to a distant fourth in about 1 lap there. He's going to need to lock back in to get back up to him.
Just a tiny mistake on a track like this, which is so easy to make because the wall is just so punishingly close to the bottom of the track. There's no space to run. There's no space to escape to. Any one tiny little error and you're taking damage to that car. These next gens, they obviously take damage very differently to other stock cars. They've got quite a durable body, but their wheels and toe links do like taking a bit of a shake around under heavy stress. But now they've separated out a 7 tenths to Judd and 7 tenths to Lark further back as well. That's 2 seconds. So I'm trying to read my own interval properly and trying to make the most sense of it. I've got the numbers. I can make the most sense of it myself. That 00, he did some very good finagling to get himself right out of the striking distance of those cars running very, very, very close to him. But now it's going to be a game of, does he chase down higher? The gap's 3 seconds, or does he just sort of maintain his life and hold off the drivers behind? Second place at the stage would be great as well as it stands, and the laps do just sort of fly away from us.
Going very quick. You're watching Michael Reeves get way loose out of 4 there. Good job to hold on to that car. A lot of drivers having some issues here with loose cars. The track temperature isn't too warm. It's only 80 degrees, but they're still getting loose as if it was a much hotter track out here tonight. Reeves has kind of let Bird back in there, especially with that big slip off the corner. That gap has gone down under 4 tenths of a second from the 00 to the 26. 2 very different lines being run there as Reeves looks a lot higher throughout this racetrack. Bird looking closer down to the apron right now. Both of them 3.5 seconds back of that 2 car at Joshua Hyatt, who is putting on a show up there at the front of the field. You said it earlier, this is not the same pace that he had in that first stint. He had the short run speed, but it eventually started to fall off. There is no fall off here for that 2 car. It is all out, and it is working really well for him.
I'm keeping an eye a bit further back on the field because Lark has fallen right into Carpenter and Hewitt. Lapped car also on the outside of this yet again, but they're super, super tight and close racing. These are the 2 cars that are still very old on tires. They've been running 50 laps in this stint. It might need to make a stop before the end of the stage. Maybe they were counting on a caution or an error, but they'll have very, very fresh tires and undercut the field on the stage when that is due. they've been racing very, very, very hard in the back of this field the whole time. So they've definitely still got skill and they've still got speed in them. Carpenter's been sort of obviously held back by circumstance here from being able to chase for the stage win. But I think now he's got his stage, he's thinking about the long, long run that's best in the wall again, trying to hold onto it, trying to make sure that he can get as many laps back as he can. They're side by side down the back. Hewitt on the inside as the better of it this time. As these tyres wear, I wonder if the lines that you take around the track change just a little. Obviously, this track's going to aid in a ton over the run.
Absolutely right now. The 28 of Carpenter has really closed onto this car of William Hewitt here. These are the two cars that are on this pit strategy. They haven't pitted 52 laps now. They're on the same kind of tire strategy, but Hewitt was a little bit further up the road. Carpenter has started to close in as they deal with that lap car of Daniel Best. However, Carpenter backing it down now, and Hewitt has put that gap back up at about half a second. These guys were holding pretty tight to some cars behind. They weren't too far behind William Lark. It was about 5 laps ago, but in those last 5 laps, they've fallen off pretty dramatically. 1 second gap separating those two at the moment, the 10 car and the 11 car back there, as they're still trying to get around that lap car of Daniel Best.
Best is putting on his best to keep this position. His car will be moderately faster than quite a few of those around him. He has the youngest tyres on the whole field, obviously, because he lost laps, but he must be taking damage from that wall as he keeps running into it, because it's happening time after time after time, and the car's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And that's how much happens at this track on Charlotte. If you're having a tight start of the run, then it sort of gets itself tighter. If you're having a loose end of the run, it sort of gets itself looser. That's one of the hardest parts with the long run around this track. There's just so little room to really change your approach over a run. You get a little bit tied into exactly how you're running the race. Best still sort of wall riding. That can't be what he wants his car to do right now. Maybe there's more repairs to do in the pit lane.
For sure, he's still got some damage on that car right now that he is going to need to try to fix, and he's going to need to maybe get lucky with some cautions here. He's in the wall again. That's definitely not going to help. He's going to need to get lucky with some cautions here, or else he could be in a lot of trouble. Back up front, Hyatt still holding a 3.3 second lead. Stephen Bird 4 seconds back of Hyatt. Ronald Judd 7 seconds back. It's all Joshua Hyatt right now as we got 18 to go in the stage. We'll see if he can stick it out to the end or if he is going to need to come down for fuel here. But right now, looking at the strategies being run by Hewitt and Carpenter, should be all good for that 2 car to go straight to the finish on this set of tires. I was wondering if anyone was going to try to come back up to him on the long run. If Hyatt maybe extended his car a little too early here, burned up his rubber at the start, and now he's in trouble. Doesn't look like it. He's held that gap really steady. Michael Reeves in the 00 has not had anything for that 2 car, and with 16 to go here in the stage, he looks unstoppable up front.
I've been trying to work out whether these 2 cars, now 58 laps into the run, can actually make it. But I mean, they don't seem to be showing a sign of stopping. They don't seem to have a call for stopping. The fuel does not run forever in these things unless they've somehow been saving. I'm going to listen on board on my end and just quickly get an impression. No, they are definitely not saving. They're running those corners as usual. So I am not completely sure how they're getting away with that, and whether they'll be able to make it to the end of the stage, but looks like it's pretty much due.
Yeah, I can't imagine these guys would need to save right now, especially, I mean, we've seen 3 cars now go over 55 or more on a stint, and you had those kind of caution laps to start the stage, so it's only really 50 green. Everybody should be pretty fine to make it to the end. I'm thinking about
the 60 on these 2 cars back here. They're about to hit 60. That's why I was watching, and they're still going.
Yep, and it looks like they're about to get in a battle back here. Carpenter's closed it back up to Hewitt right now. That gap has gone down to about 4 seconds between those two. They're starting to get a little closer back there.
Still a little bit closer, but everybody on this track is about found their place and is about just trying to get the miles down on the track. On board right now with, I'll just need to try and work out which number this is. That's Danny Carpenter in the 28. He's the one with the closest chase on the track, but even as you can see on the onboard, it's very much running away from him. As now it's almost up to a second Hewitt. He's just making more distance down the road. Every driver just trying to hold out to that stage break. We're doing it at the end of our lap 110. So we have 12 to go in stage now before we enter the mega final stage.
That last stage is very long, so this is kind of the calm before the potentially 150 lap storm. If you're one of these drivers, you're going to need to just bring it down the pits. Maybe take your 15 seconds there in the pits to kind of recalibrate yourself and get ready for potentially running 150 laps green. It's been some very green flag racing here tonight with only 8 cars on the lead lap. That greatly lowers your risk of having a caution. So these guys are going to need to stay dialed in for 150 laps. This next pit stop might be their last chance to breathe here before they head into the home stretch.
I would be a bit careful about taking too much of your time to breathe in any race around Charlotte. It's very easy to make a small mistake, drop yourself into the wall, drop yourself below the line, and lose it all in one go. You'd have to pay me to run an iRacing Coke 600. I love ovals, so I'm not talking down on you as a British fan here. You'd have to pay me to run that long around this track because I would just actually eventually wreck it out of my own sort of lapse of concentration. It's an absolute challenge out here, and even at 400 miles that these drivers are doing here, that's as long as some full-length NASCAR Cup races. You know, this is the longest they're going to get to one of those, and it helps put them into the seat of quite what it's like to drive around these tracks.
Yeah, I ran a full-length Daytona 500 once, and I got wrecked on lap 199, and I have never done one since. It takes a lot of endurance, even when you're sitting behind the wheel of your car here to get a run going at this place. 260 laps, 400 laps, you can barely feel the difference when you're at lap 100. It feels like forever, no matter what.
I ran a few Daytona 500s, and that's because I was desperately trying to finish one. And I won an Indy 500, so I've done 500 miles in a faster car, and even that was a whole load of tiring. William Lark in P5 looking to try and claim the place off Judd. He's been closing in for a good few laps, and I think he's got good pace in that car underneath him to clear around the outside. This is going to be about the stage when tire wear is obviously dragging everyone on this track just back like a boat anchor. I do see takers to the pits. Danny Carpenter finally out of fuel after 66 laps of running. He's dropping into the lane. Maybe Carpenter and Hewitt were expecting this race to go yellow at one point, because Hewitt's probably going to have to do the same thing at this stage. He wouldn't be doing that by choice. You lose laps under caution. The drivers on the standard strategy, though, should be good to survive. Hyatt, he's ran a beautiful run throughout this race. He has doesn't have the fastest lap. It's Daniel Best who actually has the fastest lap, 29.2. But out of everybody else, Hyatt for 29.37 has been running fastest.
Those drivers will cycle back out of the pits, and Carpenter will cycle one lap down. Hewitt is going to stay out here. He might be saving to try to make it to the end, or he might come down within the next few laps. If he doesn't have to pit under green, I guarantee you he won't pit under green, because Carpenter has lost 2 laps now doing that, and Hewitt does not want to do the same. Maybe have to watch if there was a potential pit exit penalty for that 28 car. He got a little bit above the apron there. Made it work just fine. Seems to be doing pretty good for now.
I mean, there's no one this is going to annoy more than Daniel Best, because Daniel Best was poised to at least get one lap back, and now he's not getting it at all. Danny Carpenter's taking it. It actually makes you wonder if Hewitt successfully saved. Well, he didn't successfully save, because he's now dropped into pit road as well. With 5 to go left in the stage, that car must have nothing left in it, and that strategy, the two decided to stay out under the stage caution, hasn't helped them for now. It's not even helped Carpenter going into the next stage, because he's going to get an end of line after his lucky dog and still be one down. So, you know, unless there's a caution on the rest of this field, they took a bit of a gamble, and sometimes gambles fall apart, and those two might not be getting back into this race unless there's another caution on the track. That leaves us to a pretty strong outfield approaching the end of the first stage. It will be Joshua Hyatt winning the stage over Michael Reeves or Stephen Bird. I mean, we're calling this a bit early, but there's only a couple laps to go on the stage, and we all have gaps of multiple seconds between drivers.
It looks like Carpenter is going to come out ahead of Hewitt here, so he is at least going to get one lap back as the lucky dog on this stage caution. But he's going to need another yellow at some point in the next 150 laps in order to get back on the lead lap. And that might be difficult here, because with a field so small, with a field so strung out for a lot of the run, with only 6 cars on the lead lap, everybody's going to have a bit of an incentive to not wreck. Almost one right there. That was close behind that 11 car for the 10 of William Lark.
They're about to close the pits as well, with 2 to go before the end of the stage. So no pit stop taking for any of these drivers. Carpenter and Hewitt are going to have, not even going to have fresh tyres for the restart, are they? Because obviously everybody's going to stop when they give them the chance. They have rolled up, very unlucky, although interestingly, Carpenter now only 1 lap down rather than 2. He may have actually earned that back on the fresh tyres. Obviously, he's going to be running significantly faster than Hyatt. He's now managed to re-unlap himself. He will be back on lead lap, although I would still posit the strategy hasn't really helped him that much. Because he's going to be forced to end the line after the lucky dog. He is going to be on that lead lap, able to contend for the win after that first stage.
We're going to wait for all these cars to finish crossing the line here. Last one on the lead lap should be the 17 of Thomas Freeman. He's working his way through about turn 4 right now, and he'll be to the line in just a second. And once he is, that will trigger that stage caution. There it goes. Freeman crosses the line, and Joshua Hyatt is officially your Stage 2 winner over Michael Reeves, Stephen Bird, William Lark, Ronald Judd, and Thomas Freeman, your 6 cars on the lead lap.
End of stage 2, and now we approach the long one. And no, not the long one at Talladega, but the long stage with a guaranteed pit stop at the halfway mark, probably under green flag conditions if this pack stays as clean as they have. We've had stages of 2 very different characters, a very close run stage where the winner couldn't quite guarantee till the end, and a very, very stringy stage where our fastest driver, Joshua Hyatt, absolutely raced his way in and out of the pits. But someone else could be in place to lead this stage if they have a good run off pit road. The field naturally peels in, and Hyatt's got to lead the keep, and everyone else has a lead to try and usurp.
That is Hyatt's first stage win of the season, and he's on pace to have a really good run here today. Doesn't have a win. Obviously, we mentioned Trevor Baxter is not here. He's won 7 of the races this year. Hyatt only has 1 top 5. This is a great chance for him to not just get a top 5, but maybe end up in victory lane as well.
Drivers up on the jacks, and it's going to be a race off pit road to lead this stage. 1 or 2 missing their boxes. I just saw there Thomas Freeman missed the box. Have to accelerate forward in order to make it. Dashing out, Hyatt keeps the win out of pit road, and I think Reeves has lost out second to Bird, who will be finishing, starting next to him on the front row. Lark in 4th. Judd comes out in 5th with Thomas Freeman in 6th. Danny Carpenter only now entering pit lane as a result of needing to wait a lap to stop. Daniel Best stays out. I mean, he's got a game plan.
Well, yeah, he needs that wave around. He needs to be able to get himself back on that lead lap, and he'll do anything he needs to in order to make that happen.
Well, actually, yeah. Wave around rules. NASCAR up here. I mean, in this world, Hewitt's going to get his lap back. So is Best is going to get 1 lap back. Obviously, once we approach 1 to green. Although, is there time? Is there time for Best to also stop in the pit lane? No, he has to stop now, obviously. And it is that if you enter a closed pits when it's too late, you get a really lengthy stop and hold. I don't see a black flag come up, but see, Best couldn't get that wave around that Hewitt's going to get to put him back on the lead lap because he absolutely has to stop. He's 51 laps. What's he going to do? Stop under green? So that's pretty unfortunate for him. Maybe he thought he could have gotten away with it. Hewitt will be waved around back onto the lead lap, leaving him and Carpenter at the back. Yes, slightly older tyres, but it's not by a country mile. So most of this pack will be racing each other again as we approach 1 to green and we approach our green flag.
Well, it looks like Carpenter has gotten back on the lead lap, but William Hewitt will stay 1 lap down. For the time being, he was 2 laps down before that caution. After that pit stop, he'll only be 1 lap down after taking the wave around. But if we get another caution here at some point in this race, he'll be the lucky dog, and he will get that lap back.
You're always here to bail me out when I forget the obvious things. I run too much oval to forget these things. I think you'll find. And there is enough monster. I'm not half asleep. There is enough monster to keep me going all the way through a Coke 600. If they were to extend to add another 200 laps, I have to be there right for it. That's what we signed up for. That's our job. The heroes of the broadcast. I should stop taking the spotlight. The drivers are about to start their race, and I think that is a little bit more exciting than us.
Hey, I cracked open a Red Bull too. We're ready for this stage 3.
Joshua Hyatt leading the field into the restart zone. And he got a good launch last time around. Away we go, we're green, and a few drivers dropping back like a rock there. Really only our top 4 get away quickly on the outside. That 17 car, Thomas Freeman, just goes nowhere and clogs up the rest of the drivers 1 back. Hyatt's pretty fast off the get, and it's side by side for P2. And P3 and 4, William Lark, trying to get on the inside and ahead of 26 of Bird, but it's not quite going to happen. He holds that outside line for now.
Front of the field is always going to be really tight on these restarts. It tends to be like the top 4 kind of get away, and then everybody else on back seems to form their own little pack. Right now, the top 4 is Hyatt back to Lark in the 10. It'll be Carpenter back to Freeman, kind of that last pack, and then Hewitt and Best running around 1 lap down, trying to do what they can right now. 0-0, Michael Reeves almost onto the apron back up front. That lets Stephen Bird close in just a little bit, but he's not able to make the move. He's got William Lark behind him, and he needs to worry about that 10 car, who's going to be antsy to get the move done. Our only caution for cause tonight was William Lark, but he's recovered pretty well. After that end-of-line penalty, he's been running up here in the lead pack for a lot of it, but he's got Danny Carpenter behind him right now, who was the car he made contact with.
Long game ahead of whether Hyatt can run away from the field. He's done a good job of it so far, 3 tenths, but he's going to keep extending because that is certainly not a safe margin. Reeves trying to pull away from Bird as well. He's got a little bit done, but I think Bird under threat from Lark. Bird drops below the line very briefly at unstabilized cars before. This time he gets away with it, and Lark actually dips a bit out of line. That's going to open up Carpenter another dip onto the line, almost washes all the way up into Carpenter's car. He's at his pace absolutely shot over the last couple of laps, and Danny Carpenter has a field to punch his way back up. He's doing it with great pace so far, and Hyatt is not quite making up more ground.
We've seen quite a few cars in the wall here, Carpenter among them, along with the 11 of William Hewitt, who's that 1 lap down. Some of these guys are really having trouble keeping it out of that fence, and you really can't afford to hit the fence here, because if you clobber it and if you get damage and you don't get a pit stop, or you don't get a pit stop under a caution, that's 150 laps you'll have to run as the pass is made for second. Stephen Bird up to the outside of the 0-0 of Michael Reeves, and he'll get that spot Reeves slow on the inside. Danny Carpenter will come back at it for P3. And then right behind him, you'll have William Larkin 5th trying to get back around that 28 car if he can follow him through on Michael Reeves. That 00 is not making that inside line work, and that's 1, 2, maybe 3 cars around him if William Lark can hold it down into turn 1, and he will.
I've seen so many cars dip tires below that blue line in just this run alone, and that's very often how drivers are losing touch and dropping back like rocks. Reeves did it himself, and one little dip down there. It's good that you haven't lost the car from under you and spun it, but it's not good that you've lost so much time that you basically have to start from scratch. A very, very long run with a pit stop expected is going to change the complexion of things, but you know you want to be running up there with the best, and you know you don't want to be set back by small mistakes, because once that time is gone, you never, ever get it back. Pretty single file running, and Daniel Best 3 down is just trying to run alongside the rest. I think prove he deserves it. Of course, if Hewitt is caught up in a wreck, he won't be eligible for any lucky dogs. Best will try and get the lap back. He's going to try and do his best, and I never mean that pun intentionally. It's just how the words come to me, to potentially just be in the right place at the right time. He's decided his race isn't over, unlike Nate Pollard, who very much decided his was after the heavy wreck.
Well, if he can get past William Lark here and get his way back up into the lead, he'll get that lap back just on pure speed alone. Doesn't happen very often, but if he can put himself 2 laps back on speed, he'd only be about 2 cautions if he played it right off getting back on the lead lap, and he's certainly trying to do it right now with a move to the outside of Lark, and now a move to the outside of Carpenter. In the fence a little bit there, doesn't look like it was enough to take any damage, and if he was on the lead lap, he'd be 3rd. Lark will also clear Carpenter to get up to 3rd. In the actual running order, Best loose there, clipped the apron. That might cost him some time as the 26 of Bird is in the fence along with Carpenter.
I saw that tire smoke and I thought that was going to end in tears for a few people, and maybe would be down to half the drivers if we get a Charlotte big one. It just about keeps the car together, but he's still going to keep racing hard. A huge shot into the wall for Reeves from behind. I mean, the order on this track's a little bit confusing because of the car in the middle of it all, and run quite far behind. And then you find Hewitt racing alongside Reeves. So I'm trying to make my own sense of quite who is where on this track. Best, obviously, really, really fast. Now ripping the fence. A lot of different lines have been viable at Charlotte today, more so than I'm usually used to. This track can sort of trend bottom dominant. It's been a bit top dominant in the real world today as well. But everybody's sort of making whatever they want work out of them, I think. And we've been seeing some pretty impressive line running from all. It means I'm not really sure who's going to end up ahead out of a corner. Best now on the rear bumper of that 26 of Bird, who's going to run him all the way up to the wall. Just comes down. Best, I think, is due to get one lap back if he keeps this together. That would be a very, very impressive run. He's trying to prove he, and I do mean this one sincerely this time, because why not? He is going to prove he is the best around there. You can grow.
He's up to 2nd now on this run. He might actually just manage to get his lap back on pace here if he can get around Hyatt. He's certainly got the damage fixed in that car there with a 50-second pit stop last time around, and he's turned it on. He's nearly in the wall what feels like every time he comes out of 2 or 4, because he's been running some corners all the way up there in the fence, really going all the way to limit. He's loose again there off the apron. He's driving that thing on and past the limits of control sometimes to keep it straight. Battle for 2nd is Lark and Bird. You're seeing it right now. It's the 10 of Lark on the inside. It's the 26 of Bird on the top. Lark gets that 2nd position over Stephen Bird still. 1 second back of Hyatt, and he also has that lap car up in between them. So it might be difficult for Lark to close that gap, but he's certainly going to give it a shot if he can get up the inside of Daniel Best, who is into the fence.
Not the first time he's done that, and well, maybe not the last, but that is him well off the pace, and all the progress he's made has just been given up on the spot. That leaves the battle further back. Hyatt's definitely getting away in time, but he's still not a second ahead. It's not been prodigious ultimate pace. It's just been sort of bit by bit by bit. Bird stuck to the outside here as Carpenter, doomed a lap down on the last run, is running fast and is forcing him up. This is really a big four-car tangle between these drivers. Lark and Hyatt going to enjoy this. They're really slowing each other down as they duel for every place, but we love to watch it here, of course, from the booth. The 00 of Reeves now getting right under that 26. He's still fast below the apron again, and a bit of a slide. He saves it very well.
All of these cars are getting really loose. The track temp, as mentioned, is 78 degrees, and you wonder if because it's a little low and it's been pretty cloudy for most of this race, the colder track temp is really preventing the drivers from getting these tires up to their optimal temperatures, and is kind of causing a little bit more of that trouble for these guys that we've seen so far here tonight. We're past halfway now in this race, lap 132 of 260, and so far seems like Joshua Hyatt is in control. He's in the lead right now, and he's led many laps here over the course of this race. But William Lark, after Best got out of the way there into the wall, is starting to close that gap. It was 1 second when he was behind the 5 car. It's now down to 0.4 of a second for William Lark. Haven't seen him up here in the lead too much today, but he's certainly going to try to get around Hyatt and get it done.
Hyatt failing to make the great escape that he did earlier in this race. Lark's been making his own great escape from the drivers behind, but he's keeping Hyatt very honest for that P2. Carpenter leads this pack by a decent margin himself as they really chase each other down behind. The 00 of Reeves is going to try and look for a way past that 26 again. He's failed a couple times, but it seems like very often when he's forced low, he will dip those tires low and cause a little mistake of his own. Even seen a driver or two run into grass in the background of proceedings. Not that it's going to completely ruin their days. They still, I think Bird might be successful forcing Reeves to the inside here, because if those tires dip below the 8 one more time, that could be him well and truly out of this race. He's going to go for it. That gap is sort of tantalizingly small but wide enough as well. Quite good car placement, but I think Reeves does have some good pace this time. Let's see if we can get that quarter alongside in for entry, because now he could have a good run out on exit. Looks like he has made the pass work this time. Bird sort of ducking out of it.
That 00 is built for the long run, for sure. He slid back a lot on the start, was struggling, but now, as these cars up front have started to burn up their rubber, well, never mind, that is not going to help him at all. While these cars up front are burning up their rubber, I was going to say, he was starting to make some time. That slide is going to undo all the time that he made and demote him back to 5th, so he's going to need to get it back under him and try to make some space up towards the front. But for now, his tire's going to be a little bit overheated with that slide, and he's going to need to back it down and get it cooled down so he can try to get back up to Bird. Closer to the front now, from Bird to Lark, he's running P2, 0.4 back of Hyatt. Still about the same gap as it was a few laps ago. He's getting it closer, down to 0.3 about mid-corner, but Hyatt is doing a better job of exiting most times. However, not so much that time. Now the gap is pretty solidly under 0.3 of a second. It's down to 0.2 of a second. Car and a half separating these two up here at the front of the field. We'll see if William Lark can get the move done here over the next couple laps.
Gave another watch back to that Michael Reeves error, and this time it happened well above the line, but that turn 4 has been claiming victims all race. It wasn't just him, plenty early on in the race, caught Best multiple times. Now he's not the only one responsible. Here comes Lark. He's had fantastic pace in the last few laps to stay in touch, and he runs that inside line trying to push Hyatt up against the wall. Lots of space and quarter being given though. Hyatt's going to force him to run Whatever line he asks, really, as he sits right in the middle of the track. Tries to be a bit of a roadblock. Not much space for Lark to charge in here, but he sort of pushes up higher again. He is aggressive right now.
He wants this lead. He's got to be a little more careful, though, than he was last time around, because last time around, you saw that contact he had with Danny Carpenter trying to take the lead, and there's more contact between these two. Lark goes all the way through the infield as Hyatt goes into the wall, but somehow they both keep it straight for the time being. Oh, and now Wyatt's in the wall again. Lark is going to take the lead away. I wonder if that 2-car has some damage on the right side from both of those wall hits. That can't be good for him.
It only takes 1 or 2 to take you out of contention around Charlotte. That wall ever tantalizing and painful. Here's the 10 running up along the inside. That wasn't quite the source of the incident, but there's the contact. And that's a big wall shot. Hyatt kind of gets away with that one. But it's Lark gets away with that one. Hyatt just sort of has trouble. We've seen a few more off tracks from drivers as well, by the way. The 00 of Reeves flew across the infield and Best has eaten up a meatball flag for one more shot against the wall. And I think that's going to be the end of his race. This one is Daniel Best's. It all kicked off at once across the pack. There was also Reeves. He had a slip on 4, flew across the infield. That was a wall shot capable of doing enough damage to knock out the wheel. He's actually, as I speak, he's completely slipped his entry into the pit road, hit another wall on the way in. So he's going to be doomed to laps down. He might be the next retirement of this race. Let's not talk about it. I think those tyres have been well and truly cooked up. He's eaten a black flag for entry as well. If he even crawls back to his pit box, it will be in shame of a race that could have been, because he did race extraordinarily well.
From best to worst for him, that'll likely be the end of that race. You mentioned that Hyatt might have gotten away unscathed. I don't think so, because Danny Carpenter has already gotten around that 2-car. 4 seconds is what Hyatt has fallen off of William Lark here over the last few laps. That car must have taken some pretty heavy damage from those 2 shots to the outside wall, because it is just not driving the same that it was either in that second stint or at the start of this stint. Hyatt is going to need a caution so he can come down and fix this damage. Otherwise, his chances of winning this race are likely over. 4-second gap up front now for William Lark, because there were some issues further back, obviously, for Michael Reeves, and then Carpenter also went off the track as well and lost a couple seconds.
Everyone has just been flying all over the track. All at once, it seems to be. Daniel Best is sitting in that pit box right now, but he's 7 laps down. That number's going to tick up and up and up and up. And I've heard call on the radio that Carpenter will now be pitting. He's got 33 laps on those tires, so he could have run the car for a whole lot longer. But here he comes into pit road nonetheless. Do you think there's an issue, or do you think he's trying to break up this race strategically? Because we still have 114 left.
Well, he was slower because he actually had 42 laps on those tires. He came down 33 ago, but it was fuel only. Didn't want to waste the set that he put on about 8 laps before the caution. He does clearly have some damage on that right front that he's going to want to get some attention to. He's also going to miss the box, which is not going to help him at all. But this is the first time getting new tires on that car in about 40-something laps, and he'll try to beat the damage out of the right front while he's at it. See if he can get that car running any better. He was dropping time pretty quick. It was about 5.5 seconds back from William Lark, so might as well play some strategy, try to close in. Nobody else is really closing into Lark, because second place is Hyatt, and with the damage to his car, he's gone 8.5 back. And Carpenter, with damage, is not leaving the pit stall. He's 1 lap down, 2 laps down, looking like he's about to go 3 laps down here.
Here comes
in
Hyatt.
A second. That might be the end of
behind.
Carpenter's day. Hyatt will also come into the pits now, and he's also got damage he might need to fix.
Well, yeah, making his own pit stop. I think some drivers are starting to introduce pit stops into their rhythm now, but Hyatt's obviously got a lot to epics out in that car, and he's decided enough is enough of trying to run that one out. Further up front, Ronald Judd passes Stephen Bird quite impressively around the exit of 4. Bird's pace seems to have dropped quite a bit off a cliff.
That was a nice battle for second there, but still 10.5 back of William Lark. It's kind of shocking just how quickly that gap has ballooned from a battle to the lead to 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and then now after pit stops, 11 seconds back there to second place. This field is very strung out at the lead, but then we've got second through fourth separated by under a second here from Judd to Freeman. So the battle is on for the back half of the podium. Lark, however, very clearly dominating up front, 0.3 faster than any other car in the field last time around.
I've heard conflicting reports from people on this, so it's worth asking an American that works in NASCAR, actually. Not quite. Every time I'm about to go on my tangent, something's about to happen. Thomas Freeman, we haven't seen too much of this race. Now definitely running alongside the midfield, almost getting through to the alongside Stephen Bird. Doesn't quite do it this time. Does NASCAR believe in the concept of the podium? I know it's not a physical thing, but I always hear conflicting reports, and you're willing to get any answer you believe for this one. It's not a test.
No, I don't. No, not really. From the broadcaster's point of view here, you know, we like to interview the podium, and that's really the difference here, where fourth place doesn't get to talk to us after the end of the race. Third place is forced to come up into the booth and talk to us for 5 minutes. So that's kind of the key difference here between third and fourth in the NASCAR races.
Well, I respect it. Can't speak to everyone all the time, and I always consider a third a good result anyway. I sort of think in the back of my mind, yeah, top 3 battles, even if the podium doesn't exist. Here comes Freeman. Looks like he's finally able to set up and execute this pass. Bird running a lot slower than I expected. I don't think we've seen much of Freeman this race. He's been spending a lot of time running around near the rear, and pace has erupted within him 40 laps into this stint in that 17s on a dark blue Hendricks car.
I should mention we have 6 cars on track right now. Hyatt and Carpenter both came down and have spent 2.5 to 4 minutes in the pits. They're not leaving anytime soon. They're 6 and 8 laps down, respectively. Michael Reeves has come in for a pit stop. He is only 1 lap down, but he does have fresh tires on that car, so he's trying a little bit of an undercut here to get some extra spots. William Hewitt obviously was 1 lap down when we restarted. He's still 1 lap down in that 11 car, and then you've got Lark up front and everybody else about 10 seconds back.
Sorry, I just spotted Reeves making perhaps the mistake of a lifetime, a mistake enough to get him to tow out into the pits. He's done this a few times running across the infield, but that was a mega one that there was no recovering from. Maybe we can catch that one on the replay. I can summon I often do production, but I can summon these things, I swear. It must have been just right around here. It's a wall shock. He decides to take the Roval, decides, no, actually, I don't need to take that chicane. And now at this point, sort of overshot into pit exit. And the only thing he wants to do with that damage at that point is to park it. Reeves has parked the car. He's disconnected. Make that 5. It is a race of attrition, although I'm starting to worry about what we're going to talk about for 50 minutes of green flag running if we slowly lose drivers.
Yeah, back up front, William Lark got that gap to 12.5 seconds right now. I wonder if Hyatt or Carpenter will pull it out of the pits at some point. They are 9 and 11 laps down, respectively. But, you know, they're still in the session. They're still fixing damage. Well, I take that statement back. Hyatt is not in the session. Hyatt is done. Daniel Best is still in the session. So even though he is approximately 19 laps down, he is still eligible to come back out on the racetrack if he would so desire tonight. And it looks like, oh my bad, Carpenter is still in the pits. It just updated weirdly on my pit road monitor. Judd and Freeman are the 2 closest cars on track. They are about 1.3 off of each other right now. Freeman is running about 0.4 of a second a lap faster, so give it maybe 3 or 4 laps here, and we could have a battle there for second. Thomas Freeman has come alive in the latter part of this run, but he's still not quicker than William Lark, dominating up front.
And, well, what we've seen is a string of drivers make mistakes that have taken them just completely out of contention in this race. So I wouldn't count any of these drivers out as being the next one to make that sort of self-inflicted mistake. The fatigue starts to settle in at this point. More than any fatigue I could be experiencing right now is driving these cars around here with no margin for error. Lark's had a spectacular run, going so fast you might come up to lap Judd we're at Hewitt on pace before we're done for the day. Judd has 15 seconds to make up. I'm not sure if he'll do it because Thomas Freeman is actually running in closer behind him. He could now take this P2 for himself.
Freeman's definitely the second fastest car on the racetrack. Lark is still the clear top dog, but Freeman does have a little bit of speed in that car, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it around Ronald Judd here pretty quickly over the next lap or two. We're not too far from some green flag pit stops here. We're hitting about 50 laps or so for every car out here in the field. It'll be 49 for all your lead lap cars on tires as they cross this time. 56 when William Hewitt makes it across the line because he took a wave around on that last caution to go 1 down. He's going to be hoping, even with 5 cars left in the field, he somehow manages to get another caution and is able to get back on the lead lap tonight. He is, yeah, if he can get back on the lead lap, he is probably William Lark's closest challenger right now. The issue is that he needs to get back on the lead lap in the first place because he is only about 6 or 7 seconds off that 10 car.
And you've seen how many mistakes were made that didn't throw out cautions. I mean, you don't get cautions if you're off the racing surface. And a lot of those incidents across the infield all happen off the racing surface. So you can sort of fly around, take the roval chicane if you feel like it, come out the other side and just about get away with it. So even if there is another mistake, there's sort of no guarantee that we even go yellow for it. Freeman has cleared up a 10th on Ronald Judd. Only 3 attempts to go, but his long run pace is sort of showing that he has the tempo and a possibility to do it. As you said, the green flag pit stops are on the way as well. Freeman would like to get it done first. I think I just heard something out of Judd on the radio. I don't know whether that means he's doing the pit stop because I was speaking over him. How rude. Not like any of you can hear at home. Not quite. I think he's giving up this place, actually, to Freeman. Just giving him the pass and giving him a chance to chase down Lark. But he's got a long time to do it, but it's a big chase to make.
Pretty sure that's now more passes in the top 3 on lap 165 than we had in the entirety of the Monaco race earlier today. So good stuff out of these drivers right now. The gap is still 16 seconds there from Lark to Freeman, because even though Freeman is clearly the fastest car of the guys who are on the lead lap who are not William Lark is very clearly putting a hurting on that 17 car. He's another 0.3 faster that time around. Really just a better driver right now. 17 does not have anything for him, and now he's in the wall, and that is going to be a bad lap for him, and it's going to let Judd get a little closer. Stephen Bird has just been lapped, so that is going to leave us with 3 cars now on the lead lap as that 26 car goes 1 down.
Do you think Lark could get everybody? I mean, he's made up 2 seconds on Freeman, so he's going faster than Freeman every single lap. Is this a lap the whole field contest? I'd be down for it. I'd be down to see just how hard one can dominate. What, like, can we repurpose the Max Verstappen song, do you think? William Lark. Doesn't really work. The syllables aren't really there.
No, unfortunately, they are not. Looking at the lap times, yeah, I mean, Freeman's getting a little closer to him. There's only about a 10th off of the 10 that time around, but a 10th is not going to cut it when you have approximately 166 of those to make up in 93 laps here. They're going to be hoping for some kind of major mistake out of that 10 car. Missing pit road, a penalty on pit road could be huge with pit stops approaching You never know what could happen. Lark could speed here as he enters the box, and that could really shake this race around if it does happen.
Obviously, also, it's not even just to do with these black flags. I think you missed your pit box by quite a lot. Suddenly, between Freeman and Judd sort of open up the margin to make a battle and a chase again. Hewitt, a couple laps more used on these tyres. Obviously, one driver will be getting I just said one driver will be getting a wave around at the pit stops. Even I'm cooked. Even I'm losing my mind. That's not how this works. And I know how it works about being corrected. He's effectively stopping first. Obviously, 63 laps on the tyres compared to everyone else on 57. So he's going to run out first. It means he's also going to be first out fastest. You might be able to claim a lap or two back on the field, just on the back of that pace. Or maybe Lark could just do it on any tyres. Lark can just continue to run circles around the new tyre drivers. I've seen weirder in my officials at the very least.
You never know what can happen at Charlotte for sure here. The Coke 600, the real race at this track, kind of known for chaos. You can't count that out right here either.
This race doesn't really have an official name. It was the Coke 600. This is a something 400. I could maybe leave you to like 390. I've been told by producers it's 390 miles. That doesn't even run the same. Stephen Bird just picked up a meatball flag, and I don't think that's for an on-track incident. I think that's for blowing a tyre. 58 laps on those tyres, and they are so done that they have expired. They are ex-tyres. They have ceased to be. Bird needs to make a stop there. There's no grip left in that thing, and there's a chance we see a bit more from the rest.
Well, the good news is when you get a black flag for a blown tire, usually that's, savable. The problem would be if that black flag for a blown tire has come about as a result of him pounding the wall, and then that damage from pounding the wall shredding his tire. If that's what happened, he's in trouble. If not, he can probably come down and get 4 tires on this thing and he'll be fine, albeit 3 laps down.
Well, pit stops are roughly due for drivers anyway, so we're sort of within that window where they'll be making the stops, even if this one wasn't completely perfectly scheduled. Those laps will be returned when everybody else makes their stops. William Hewitt now ducking the pit lane, 66 laps in that run. He's finally run it dry in that car. Ronald Judd, Thomas Freeman, and William Lark, each 61 each. They're going to be doing it very, very soon, one after another.
This is definitely the time to make these pit stops. Lead lap cars are going to be down probably within the next 5 or so laps here. Can't imagine they run much longer. It will be a 2-stop here. They'll come down here. They'll come down some point within the last about 80 laps of this race. You can try running it all the way. You can try splitting it in the middle with 40 and 40. We'll see what the strategy is here. But with so few cars on the lead lap, I think it might work to just run it all the way, take a good points day, and then come out in a good position later. Bird is still in his pit stall. He is now 4 laps down, and he's been in there for about a minute now. So that's going to leave us with 3 cars still on the lead lap, and then 4 cars within about 5 laps of the lead lap.
Yeah, it's a bit too long for a tyre stop. He's choosing to get a car fixed in that time. I'm trying to catch whether Bird did something that was worthy of a meatball. I tried scanning back and I didn't see much. I do really think it was just the tyre. In fact, yes, the meatball was cleared immediately upon changing the tyre, so that was that. But that is an unusually long amount of time to be sitting in the box. So you're right, we're whittling these drivers down like it's a horror movie. Like it's who's the killer? William Lark might be. We could cast him as such. He slows down to make into pit entry now. Leader first to blink out of these 3.
I've seen horror movies with less attrition than this. This is a bloodbath out here with the amount of cars that we've had have issues in this race. And Bird will now drop 5 laps down as Lark does make that run down into the pit lane. And he will be followed by Ronald Judd. Thomas Freeman will stay out. Hey, we got a pass for the lead. New leader, Thomas Freeman in the 17.
Now running it out, running that tank to empty. He's the one holding this run out the longest, and that could benefit him at the end on tires as the other two run into their stops. You're right, Bird's still there, so Bird's well out of contention. Hewitt 2 down, now out. He might get 1 lap back worth once everybody's cycled through. Here comes Judd into his box. Freeman still running it, getting to lead laps as Lark rolls his way out of the pit lane and almost gets a unsafe exit. I think he's gotten away with that one from my perspective. Judd should be exiting now. Yes, he does. We're going to see another 10-minute stop and we'll be down to 3 on the track. Instead, Freeman's still running it, but you can see that pace differential. It's a massive. He's doing another lap. This will make 67 on the stint, the longest stint of the race.
Man, Lark needs to be careful if he's running the risk of getting an unsafe exit penalty here. There's really no reason to be doing that. You had a 21-second lead down there coming into the pit lane. You do not have to rush it at all. Go as slow as you want out of that pit stall. You can go 35 miles an hour the whole way through 3 and 4 and you'd still hold that lead. You want to be cautious. You do not want to be doing anything that could risk your car. Freeman will now make the turn down pit road with 81 to go.
This was very much due, but with 81 to go, drivers will need another stop. Maybe Freeman will try and split this stint directly into 2 and have 2 very fast ones. He could be on for a potentially winning strategy here, even if those are going to be 2 quite short runs. This is going to put William Lark into the race lead for now, 3 into his stint and running it nice and clean around the track as he does run on Judd. Going to make that place back as well as Freeman should be due to exit right about now. It's quite a slow box. He's lost a second compared to the other 2 drivers who tried to do so on that lap. Hewitt also running. We have 4. We have 4 runners. When will be dawn of number 3? Could happen.
It could. We are running out here pretty early on. There's still 79 more laps to go, about 40 minutes of running left. And Lark has lapped everybody except for Thomas Freeman. We might have 1 car on the lead lap here. I mean, if we go to Lark right now, I think you'll probably be able to see Freeman in front of him. There you go. We're on board with Lark right now. That is second place out of his front mirror on this 10 car. He is rapidly gaining on Thomas Freeman as he leaves that pit stall. That 17 will have 4 lap fresher tires, and we'll see if he's able to use those to not get lapped here, which I think is probably his only real goal at this point. He does not want to let Lark lap the entire field. He wants to stay on the lead lap and hold second here.
If Lark laps the whole field, you know what he'll be going for next time. You give him an inch, they'll take a mile. He'll go for a lap the whole field twice as his challenge. It's going to be a real quest to keep him behind for so long. And looking at the laps, though, they are pretty close in terms of their time. Both getting 29.9s of only the tiniest difference in the hundredths. I'll keep an eye on their lap times next time around the line as well. But Freeman sure isn't slow anymore. Both about to cross. For Freeman, it's a 30.0. For Lark, it's a 29.8. He's making up ground.
He is closing in. Fastest car that time was actually Ronald Judd running a 29.7. That would be great for him if he was not approximately 33 seconds behind the leader right now. He would need a lot more than about 2/10 a lap to actually get that thing moving closer to the front. We'll see what the lap times are this time, but I can tell you Lark probably went faster. That he did. 0.5 tenth up on Thomas Freeman as, hey, we got a car out of the pit. Stephen Bird, 14 laps down, is back from the dead.
I mean, at this point, it's worth it. You get 5th out of 10 if you return to the track and you don't wreck the car. I mean, like, for Pollard, it might not have seemed worth it. Although, if he knew what was about to happen, it probably would have chosen to be worth it. Now, my timing says that Danny Carpenter's car is still sitting in the pit box with 20 minutes of repairs. And as I say that, he leaves the engine on for too long in pit box, and it has gone. is an X-engine, and that's Danny Carpenter retiring in 8th position.
Hey, give him about 30 minutes here, all right? We're at Charlotte. His team is about 5 minutes down the road. They go down the road, you get a new engine, bring it back. Takes about 20 minutes, you know, hook it back up into the car. He'll probably still be out there with time to get around Michael Reeves. We've still got about 35 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, so they have 5 minutes of running, and yeah, he will. He'll make it past. He'll make it past Hyatt and possibly Reeves. Yeah, get the crew off. Get them going. I mean, we're in NASCAR town.
Traffic
so...
is being held.
I mean,
roads
as long
closed.
as you can get in and out of the track, you know. Who's going to make it home to run the double?
Yeah, we got the road shut down. You got free access to your shop. Go get a new engine. Go put it in that car, Danny Carpenter. You'll be back out here in just a second. I mean, I think it takes about, what, 30 minutes for a full engine change in these Cup cars? 31 minutes, somewhere around there. So, I mean, it is entirely possible if that engine does get fixed and changed, he could theoretically beat Michael Reeves if he gets on that now.
Unfortunately, in the real world of iRacing, you're sort of at the mercy of how your crew want to repair your stuff and how fast they do it. And these things, they also sort of come from a menu of how long it takes. So we'll see if he chooses to stick around in that session to wait out that repair. Obviously, he could have just also turned the engine off. That would have worked as well, but it's a mistake we all make sometimes when we just abandon the PC and we're just like, I'm not really doing this right now, and then boom, you get a little plume of smoke out of nowhere. And I'm assuming that's what happens. It's you don't otherwise get a meatball in the pit lane. William Lark, he's lapped Freeman, by the way, so he's making his run. Let's do it again.
He definitely had the Coke 600 up on his other monitor, and he was watching that, and he heard like the boom noise out of his iRacing, and was like, what just happened? What just happened? And now he is 44 and counting laps down, and we will have 5 cars in the race, one of whom is on the lead lap, that being William Lark over Freeman, Judd, Hewitt, and Bird.
I have heard that it's been a pretty slow 600 up to now. I don't really know all too much else. I caught like the very beginning of it. I've heard it's been a little bit slow up to now. So, you know, I won't say another word because I don't really want to either. But, you know, so they're waiting to ramp it up. They're waiting to ramp it up. William Lark looking to dominate this field. Another pit stop, of course, is going to happen during this race. And horrible things can happen in pit road. 4 drivers running on track. Ronald Judd is second off Thomas Freeman. So there's a chance for him to make that chase down.
I think there's something about Charlotte today that's just breeding accidents. You know, you got half the cars in the field out. Bird's 14 down. I'm commentating this race and my splash guard on my car broke while I was driving home. That's why I was 15 laps late to this thing. Everybody's having issues here tonight. Drivers, booth, real life. It's been a night.
I mean, it's been a night for people at Indy. It's at least most of them made it past the pace lap. It's been a day for some at Monaco. I heard that Porsche Super Cup got blocked on the track. It's been really one of those Memorial Day race days in racing, I think, where everything that could go wrong for some people sort of just does go wrong, bit after bit after bit. And yeah, you can't even call the races without your car exploding underneath you and you almost having your wallet caught out in the rain, I believe. I think it's safe.
Yep. Yeah, it is safe. It is safe. We had the double trouble of I had to drive my car to a parking garage because we had 2-inch hail come in. The 2-inch hail finished. I went to drive home. I hit a puddle and my splash guard came off, and I had to like rip part of it off my car in order to drive it home. Good night tonight. But we're here. We're racing.
I've heard that weather-related things happen to you a lot. So
I live in Oklahoma. That's how life is.
I'm sorry for your loss there, because I live in the UK and nothing happens. And quite frankly, that might be the one that's better for me. So
probably,
yeah, we'll take that. I mean, in exchange though, I get to make it to 3:30 a.m. At Charlotte Motor Speedway.
There you go. There you go. One thing we are learning tonight from this race is that Larks are very clearly the best kind of bird, with William Lark obviously dominating the field. his kind of competitor there, his rival in species, Stephen Bird, 14 laps down. Big win for Lawrence tonight.
You're right, it's Bird and Lark. You're even spotting the things that I know. Ronald Judd, 7/10 of Thomas Freeman. I think he is chasing him down. I think there's plenty of time to get it done in this run and get the pass down. Judd is about 3 to 4 laps. My mental capacity for doing the maths is hard. Older on the tyres, but that isn't stopping his pace at all. Of course, I think that is Bird behind, aiming to get a lap back on fresher tyres. He's going to have to do a lot more of that to get all of them back, but he's going to have P5 if he makes it home without any error, and that'd be quite a good result to have from a race where it all goes wrong, and there it almost all goes wrong for Ronald Judd, flying down. You might want to catch that one on replay. I saw that on my side, and now that battle almost over. Hewitt actually about to make the chase himself.
Yeah, so Stephen Bird's about 14 laps down right now at 30 seconds a lap. He would need to pick up 7 seconds a lap to win this race.
You know, I've seen miracles. I've seen absolute miracles. Here is Judd's slide, and that's almost into the barrels of doom. Gets away with it. Another one happening below the line. Now Hewitt is the challenger to Judd, a second behind. It's for P3.
Hewitt might be able to get him here. We'll get one more replay. He almost hit the tire barriers there. That was extremely close for Ronald Judd in that 64 car. Kyle Larson's had some wrecks today. He's most famous for hitting the tire barrier at Homestead last year. Nothing else he's done in his career. So almost ended up a little bit like him right there.
I mean, did he do it at absolute full ball speed enough to split the car in two? I don't want to know what would happen if someone went to it full speed. I remember with the pace car, with the barrels, something pace car hitting the barrels a little bit last year. So that was the only spectacular thing the pace car did in that season as well. So, and those barrels have claimed me, as I'm sure they've claimed many other iRacers over the length of their career. About 30 minutes running to go. We're on lap 202. That makes 59 to go. We're still not quite in the pit stop range if drivers run out the whole length for their tanks. But I don't think the drivers have enough in them to make their stop. And now it's sort of their call as to when they stop. Around now, they can stop and finish. So drivers are going to be trying to weave this into their strategy a little bit and see if they can make some pace up at the very end of the race with it. I mean, there's drivers within a second of each other, a few places down the track here. So it's not out of the question that we get a few chases, even if it's not quite for the win.
I think I can tell you exactly what William Lark's strategy is right now. It is run it until the gas tank is empty and then come down and put 4 tires on it. Because when you've got a 1-lap lead right now, the last thing you want to do is get fancy on pit strategy. You get a 35-lap lead. Hang out, calm down, come down when it's empty, put 4 tires on it, don't do anything risky, don't do anything stupid. Like I said, you can go 35 the whole way through 3 and 4 if you want, just to make sure you make it on pit speed, and you'll be fine here tonight. If we see any pit strategy, it's going to come from this battle that is actually pretty close, from 2nd back to 4th. Judd, 2 seconds back of Freeman. Hewitt, 1 second back of Judd. Honestly, a little impressive here from William Hewitt, considering he started this run 1 lap down, and he has stayed 1 lap down, and he's really not that far off Judd and Freeman, who started this run on the lead lap. Hewitt would be having a great 2nd place right now if he didn't mess up the pit strategy, start this run 1 lap down.
Well, yeah, you're talking about what can happen when you mess up the pit strategy, but I'm also wondering if you run the car to absolute empty, maybe you blow a tire, maybe they get a little bit too worn, maybe there's a few things that can go wrong if you run it to the lowest possible, because then you only have about 10 to go coming out the stop. If you try and bring this to an absolute limit, you obviously can't save from the start this run all the way to the end. I'm the sort of driver that would try and split it in 2 at this point and just hope I can make it home in 1 piece. But I think these drivers do know better than me on the track. They're the ones that know how their car feels and how the track feels over time. The sun is starting to set on Charlotte Motor Speedway. I hope you get to see a little bit of the night before the checkered flies as William Hewitt closes in on Ronald Judd half a second. Few twitches here and there, but He's really, really not done running him down. I think there will be a pass for P3 on the book, whether it's now or at the other side of the stop.
It will be for sure. I think a lot of these cars are probably going to run it pretty close down to the end of the window. We might see some maybe come down around lap 40, split it in half. I think we also might see some do a little bit of an undercut. I think no one's really going to bring it into the pits until lap 40 at the earliest, and then I think 40 to 25 is going to be the real pit window here for a lot of these guys. I think they can maybe make it to about 20, so 20 to 40 to go is when we're going to see a lot of these cars start to come down. Track temp is falling a little bit here as the sun sets at Charlotte. It's not going to play too much of a factor. It's gone down from 78 to 76. If it was warm, that might play a factor in this race, but this track was pretty cold to begin with, so might have some issues here with new tires coming out. The track's a little colder than you expect, so you got to take a little more time to warm the tires up, but not going to be as kind of affecting the race as much as if it was hot.
Bit by bit, Hewitt now in 4/10. I think he has had quite a faster long run than Judd, a tenth faster. Last lap now within 3/10. The chase is on, and we're going to see a faster lap coming across the line. Again, this time it's a 38 versus a 36. It's 2/10 faster. Hewitt wants that P3, and he will have to force the pass to make it happen on pretty worn tyres. More worn than Judd, but Judd seems pretty uneasy in the state of that car at this stage. Hewitt gets alongside cleanly, both giving each other a lot of space. Hewitt hugging the bottom of the track, and that's clear on exit, clean as can be.
That is a move for position. William Hewitt is really wishing he did not mess up that pit strategy earlier and he could try to bring something to William Lark. He'd still be about 10 seconds back, but 10 seconds back is a lot closer than one lap and 10 seconds back, especially when he is running some pretty good lap times right now, although last time around William Lark was the fastest car in the field by approximately 0.3 of a second, so he's doing pretty good right now. We got a sponsor for the Door Racing League. It is Kinetic Gaming. You can visit their website at kineticgaming.org. Check them out here. They are one of the partners with us for the rest of the season in the Door Racing League. And you can check them out right there as these guys continue to go at it towards the front.
Judd dropping back like a rock. I wonder if Hewitt can make inroads in on Freeman for P2. He's 3.8 seconds back, but he's going faster every lap. He was 2/10 faster last lap and a 10th faster on the last. Of course, William Lark, 30.3. I can't see the extent to which he's gaining every lap because all I see is one lap, but he's faster than everyone behind. Every lap without fail, he's having the race of his lifetime, and he's running off into the sunset. Nothing here you really could have predicted out from the start. It's been a race of attrition, but really only the survivors are left on the day. And we have about 23 minutes of running, so trust me, we're going to find a way to keep talking about things as time goes on. You're never going to be free of us until the show ends at the very least. So subscribe to the channel. We bring a ton of racing series to you, including multiple NASCAR style events and a new road series that yours truly gets to run to, as well as the rest of the Door Racing League every Sunday. We hit up Nashville Super Speedway next week. Not quite a super speedway, kind of its own beast, in fact. Same drivers, and hopefully still more racing up ahead.
Hey, this isn't our only kind of rodeo with long races at Charlotte here on Maconi Entertainment. We obviously have the full-length Cup Series that runs. They ran you're not going to believe this, a full-length Cup race at Charlotte. That was last night. I heard they got done at about 1 or 2 a.m., so that was fun. We had we have some more races. We ran the FLCC Friday Night Lights series here. That was 200 laps at Charlotte. We've been having a great time at Charlotte, really, across all our broadcasts here this week. This is no exception. 45 to go on this one, and it is complete domination for William Lark.
Domination indeed. I think he just wants it to end as soon as possible, but he's still going to have plenty of laps. He's responsible for running until it is. Now, as I've mentioned a few times, trying to preempt drivers are going to have to stop at some point during this stage. They're all definitely going your strategy, and quite frankly, I would trust your strategy over anything I concoct in my own time. I needed strategy help to win at Indy myself. Wouldn't have done it that way myself, so we're expecting to see him run dry. I see Ronald Judd. Ronald Judd slowing down. He's slowing down a lot to make pit entry. He's making the first one happen. 38 into the run. He just about makes it into pit lane speed. He's going to try and split this stage. The other's going to try and run it out for a bit longer, I think, but maybe undercutting that field on the fresh tires is what he wants.
Well, he was last of the cars who are racing for anything this race, so he is going to want to try to jump Hewitt and Freeman there and maybe use that undercut to bring home a second place over those two guys right now. Stephen Byrne is just out here. If this was an official, I would say he's out here for safety rating, but unfortunately, they do not give those out in the door-to-door racing league, so he's just out here because he likes going in circles.
We just turn left here, I believe. I like to tell when people ask me, because I'm British, so I get like questions like, here's William Hewitt, pit lane as well. People like to ask me, why do you just like turning left? And I like to lean into it. I just say, I just turn left here, sir. That's what I just tell them, because they're never going to understand. This is the only ever discipline I hit 2K in, so I'm not telling you that makes me a god. I'm telling you that means I'm very, very, very bad at everything else, and I was just about okay at the over racing. I just turn left here, sir. That's just what I say to anyone that questions me and my better judgment. But it is not a very easy turning left around Charlotte in the next gen, of course. Maybe some newbies might have done this in a street stock and realized it's flat out, but this track is hard and punishing. It really, that wall is just comes out at you like nowhere. Most tracks of this length are a lot wider. They give you a lot more room, margin for error. Quite a bit more room for battling as well, whereas Charlotte places a 600-mile extravaganza in real life, and it's not a pretty long race here, as just this really long endurance, keep it together, keep yourself together sort of race. Keep it out of the wall, keep it out of the grass. We've seen quite a few fail to keep it out of the grass, and in this car that likes to sort of unsettle itself with quite the wrong input, it's very easy to make that sort of mistake yourself and lose it. I'm a big fan of the Roval myself. We'll be getting the new one in time for this league to race here. Yes, with the horrific looking death hairpin. Can't wait to see that in my officials. I quite like the existing one in my officials, but that hairpin is going to terrorize rookies. It's going to terrorize every league that comes here. It's going to terrorize some of these drivers. Also this league, they were planning on racing at the Autodromo Hermano Rodriguez. I think that's its name in Mexico. We're obviously not going to have that track in time. They're holding a vote, and I believe right now they're looking towards Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, we've seen a couple cars turn right this race. They just haven't turned right more than once. Kind of breaks your car when you do that. We're talking about that hairpin at the Charlotte Roval. You can actually get the kind of Roval experience there if you run the dirt rallycross track at Charlotte Roval. It does make use of that extremely awkward hairpin, and I know what you may be thinking, why are we running the layout that is being ran by the rallycross configuration? That is a great question. I do also like the current Roval. I think the changes are going to be very, very chaotic. It's going to kind of be like the Indy road course turn 1, where you would just have drivers send it 4 wide into there and not really care who they wrecked. I think it's going to be a similar situation.
And the NASCAR season is non-stop to the end. It's one of those seasons where I think if you can even make it through the whole thing, you deserve a badge of honor. And there's races of all kinds coming up along the way as we follow the entire schedule with this series. We've dropped in at about the halfway mark, of course. They've had plenty of races up to now. They've got plenty of races down the line as well. It's 35 to go. I'm looking out for the next one to blink on pit road. It's Byrne, Freeman, and Lark yet to stop. Not seeing any of them quite make their huge slowage yet. just saw someone, I think that was Freeman, have a little bit of a shot with the wall, but until then, how fast are Hewitt's laps and Freeman's? They're almost a whole second faster than Freeman. He's a lap down on Freeman, so he's still got some distance to make up, but eventually Freeman will stop, and we'll see how the two compete out of pit road.
Would like to note, we started this race with 260 to go, about the same time that the Cup Series was kind of around 260 to go, somewhere in that area, and right now the Cup Series has 90 to go, and we have 33 to go. We started with about the same number of laps to go here. So what I'm seeing from this is that these drivers are substantially better than the Cup Series drivers when it comes to not wrecking.
You know, we'll give them another one for that one. We had quite a few that have really just taken the burn of the tracker in there. Michael Reeves, Joshua Hyatt, Danny Carpenter, who, by the way, is still connected and is hoping to get that engine repaired anytime soon. Get out there, crew. With Daniel Best, who really could have been in for a spectacular shot this race with his pace, and Nate Pollard out in 10th. Only 10 made it to this race. There's more larger fields on some of the other weeks. This will be quite a busy weekend for the Americans, I believe. I don't quite know exactly when your Memorial Day weekend the celebrations hit. I'm not
this weekend.
I'm too British, so forgive me. But this is a competitive league. It's got plenty of drivers we're not quite seen yet today. There were 20 at Kansas, and we'll be covering the whole series going forwards.
Now, our Memorial Day is tomorrow here. I'm sure y'all celebrate 4th of July, too, so that'll probably be a little bit of a slow one here, you know. We all know what happened during the 4th of July. Great week
I'm not over it. I'm not over it. You know, I'm still bitter.
I'll throw more tea in the harbor.
I don't
like that 20 minutes away from me.
I don't drink that. Tea. If you throw my Monster in the harbor, you're going to have a real big problem. Can't deal with that. How else do you think I've made it through? Made it awake through here. We're at 3:10 a.m. I volunteered.
We should have 3:10.
And in case you're sick of me, we should have another commentator in my stead next week. Sky, you've done a fantastic job. I have just been trying to keep it together. So no worries about that. We approach 15 minutes to go. That makes 30 to go.
Yeah, me and Howie are just here for the first week. I think we will have Jeremy Briggs and one other up here next week for the rest of this series. Jeremy Briggs, great commentator in his own right, couldn't be here this week because he is also American. Got some Memorial Day festivities going on with his family, but he will be here to run the rest of the series with y'all and take y'all the rest of the way. Here's your pit stop, 54 laps into the run for William Lark. Perfect entry, does everything he needs to slow it up. Thomas Freeman, the only car who hasn't pit yet.
When I heard the producer in my ear correct the name, did I get the name wrong of someone that I work with and know? I might have gotten the name wrong. I might have said something like Jason Briggs, which would be really embarrassing because I work with him, like, often. Jeremy Briggs, okay. Yeah, I knew it. I just thought that maybe I misspoke in like my head, and I'm like, that'd be really embarrassing to get the name of a colleague wrong like that easily that you work with. Lark first out of the pits. Thomas Freeman a lap down, just getting his done. No disasters on pit road. Thomas Freeman's got to take the other jacks himself. William Lark comes out. William Hewitt going to pass Freeman on the road. Indeed, Hewitt jumped to the P2. Freeman in third. That's Lark and Freeman on faster tyres. They're about 15 laps fresher. And Freeman's going to be on the same lap here as Hewitt, but as he comes out and approaches racing speed, 10 seconds to make up. That's a lot to make up in very, very little time. He's actually going to look out for Ronald Judd behind him, 15 laps older on those tyres, but he's been up the pace from running around this track so much, so he might be able to make that pass once again for P3.
Stephen Bird has not pit yet. Big moves for him. Well, I was about to say he's 12 laps down, but he has just been lapped again, so he is now 13 laps down. He's got one of them back on William Lark, the Bird. Getting a little bit closer up the field here, but Lark still reigns supreme in the Animal Kingdom.
You're able to come up with that connection, and I'm often the one that comes up with funny connections. Ronald's the best at it. If you work with Ron, you would know that he has analogies for any possible thing that could happen. Another colleague on the channel. But I like the bird and the lark comparison. I could only think of best, which I came into by accident over and over again, until eventually I just leaned into it and made it my whole personality. Judd not making up distance on Freeman. Still a second now. He's going to run some fast laps in a row. Last one was 2 attempts slow. So if he wants to do it, he has very little time left, about 12 minutes. A green flag running. What would a promoter's caution do for us now? I'm not giving anyone any ideas. I think league admins are on the track themselves, actually, and race control is probably not quite interested in active manipulation, unlike the real NASCAR Cup Series. Am I right? Ronald Judd loses 4 attempts exiting 2. He's really not up to pace here.
Also got a battle of the Williams up front. William Hewitt, for the first time since about halfway through stage 2, is on the lead lap. It is because he took the undercut. He is on the lead lap. He will be lapped here very shortly because he is on about 15 lap older tires than William Lark. But for this moment in time, he is on the lead lap, and if he can hold this 11-second gap he has to Thomas Freeman, who is also on 15 lap pressure tires, might be able to steal a P2 out of this. He's definitely wishing he had that lap back to start with, though.
It's for a lot of drivers here today. I think it's going to be a race of what could have been quite a few that were fast. Everybody was fast out of the gate, really, but then just horrible circumstances have befitted them one after another. They've fallen like absolute dominoes. Hewitt, 20 laps on those tyres, now just trying to hold off Lark for as long as humanly possible. This is a mark of personal pride at this point. Although, in a race on this channel earlier this week, I saw an incredibly clean run at Charlotte descend into absolute farce in literally the last handful of laps on the Friday Night Lights series. My embarrassing shouting of "oh no" over that final commentary represented my state of anguish at everything that happened in front of me. I'm hoping we don't get an absolute disaster to end off today, because everybody leaves in a very sour mood, and really anyone that can make it to the end of here deserves absolute congratulations for the work they put in. That's Hewitt in the wall, a hard shock, and that might be enough to him to just give this up to Lark.
Yeah, he wants to bring it home second. If he could hold it on to that 11-second lead over Freeman, I think he'll be happy with a P2 here on the night. Still 1 lap down now for all those cars. Ronald Judd is about 3 seconds off Freeman right now, so not out of the woods there yet. He could still maybe get something going on that 17 car. Bird has not pit yet, but he will be about, I think, 15 laps down when he inevitably does make that move down pit road, get fresh tires on that 26 car. I think if you're Stephen Bird, once we hit about 16 to go here, it'll be mathematically impossible for you to gain any positions. So he's out here for vibes. He's having a good time. He's in the voice call with these other guys who are out here on the racetrack. He's chatting. He's having a good race. That's why he's out there right now. He's having fun.
We're all here for fun. We're all here to, well, some leagues are highly competitive. Some are here just for a good time, and I'm not. I was parachuted into it, so I'm not completely 100%. I'm not going to tell them that they're casual when they're not, maybe insult someone by accident or something, but I get the impression that people are enjoying their time out here. They've got a very collective lobby to themselves. They've probably got a lot to talk about as they run around the track. Stephen Bird now getting lapped again by Judd. 58 laps on Bird tyres, or on his run at the very least. I'm not quite sure if he took tyres on the last one, but it would make sense. He might be due our final pit stop of the race as the lights start to come on around Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's always a nice way to sort of end the race as the sun is setting.
Yeah, last pit stop for Bird, he was in the pits for approximately 6 minutes and 32 seconds, so I would be surprised if he did not put tires on at some point in those 6 minutes and 32 seconds for Stephen Bird. Lark is going to cross the line here, and that'll put it to 16 to go tonight at Charlotte. Track temps stay basically the same, 76 degrees. Air temperature also basically the same, 73 degrees. The clouds out there really preventing that track from heating up at any point over the course of our evening. Freeman is slowly closing in on Hewitt, but I think it might be too little too late. He's only got that gap down to 9 seconds. He's going to need to close a little faster than that if he wants to overcome the undercut and get back up to second place. Hewitt, Judd, on the other hand, with 15 lap older tires, pit at the same time as Hewitt, and he has fallen off. He looks destined to finish 4th tonight.
And we're saying that like it's a mark of shame, but Bird here, 14 down. He's made his pit stop now. He gets to walk home with points for P5 in the championship. A race like Charlotte is very much one of those, if you want to finish first you must finish. And while I must say Bird is not finishing first today, his finishing is going to be worth plenty more points than the drivers behind. Quite failed to make it. So that we've had some car-related incidents, some cars getting into each other, some sliding around. I don't know why I said car-related as if an un-car-related incident would hit you on this track. Oh, that one wasn't the car, that was something else. Stephen Bird leaves pit lane now, 15 down. I'm pretty sure he's out of the window now to mathematically get back onto the lead lap, but a P5 finish. I'm going to lock this one in and say it's a guaranteed P5 finish. I have a feeling that I can't commentators curse this one despite everything else I can curse.
You know those, that when they do the Indy 500 pace laps and they got like the helicopters that kind of float above the racetrack? If one of those like really messed with the air and you kind of did a Scott McLaughlin into the inside pit wall, I would say that would be a non-car related incident.
Why didn't he just blame the helicopters? That would have been the easiest solution. When I saw Larson wreck in the in Indy, the first thing I thought was at least he can make it back for Charlotte. Is that a sort of an unfortunate thing to say? I was like, at least he's not going to miss the Coke 600. He'll finish the double one day. He'll keep trying until he can finish the double. It's hard out there, trust me. It's even harder than on iRacing, and it's hard on iRacing. It is nightmarish out there.
Yeah, something tells me next time he runs the 500, he will not be randomly downshifting on entry to corners, and he will probably not spin it out as a result of that. Freeman, yeah, he's not closing enough. He was trying to get it, but that gap is still only 7 seconds. He would need to gain about 7/10 a lap, and he has had some laps where he has been up by about half a second, but he has not had any laps where he is up by drastically more than half a second, which is what he would need in order to actually get that car up to Hewitt by the end of this race. Maybe if Hewitt's tires continue to fall off at a faster pace than Freeman's, something could happen. The gap between those two cars did go to 0.6 of a second that time around, so Hewitt is definitely hitting some pretty big fall off right now. Freeman looks like he might be too far back, but if Hewitt continues to fall off in terms of pace, don't count him out just yet.
Hewitt needs to finish to make that P2, but he's going to need monstrous pace, and right now he's been running some slower laps of 30.4. William Lark is now in the 29s.8, in the sense that it feels like he just hasn't slowed down at any point. Someone could, knock on the window and tell him, hey, you can definitely take it easy now. No need to push hard, because you don't want to make a mistake, and I don't think you're going to get caught any time within the rest of this race. We're only about 4 minutes of green flag running left to go, but if he wants to gut it, he can gut it. He can prove himself proud. He can say it. He can come into the interview in just a couple of minutes and say, hey, I gunned it the whole way, so what else matters? Hewitt looks like he's locking down that P2 with Thomas Freeman making up some time, but as you've said, maybe not enough time. It would need to be 6 seconds, and his last lap was pretty dead even. I'll keep an eye on the gun as he crosses the line here. He's got to beat up 30.4 into 30.1, but those sorts of margins aren't going to do it in 6 laps. It would be 5 for him, because he's also 1 down.
Yeah, and as Lark takes 6 to go, update on the battle for the lead. Hewitt is about 38 seconds back, so with 6 to go, that would be, what, approximately 7 seconds a lap. He is going to need to turn on William Lark, so doesn't look like that's going to happen right now, I will say it, but, I mean, if William Lark does a, who was it at Pocono that hit the wall a couple years back on the last lap and crashed out? Was that Bowman or Larson? One of them did it. Never count it out. You know, we've seen crazier things happen even on Memorial Day weekend. If you remember J.R. Hildebrand crashing from the lead on the last corner of the Indy 500. Lark just needs to run 5 more laps and he wins, but never underestimate chaos that can happen on iRacing.
I mean, it was back in the day, something Murray Walker, God rest his soul, said something ridiculous like anything can happen, and it usually does. F1 backwards is if, which is really funny because it's not that backwards. Yeah, it's not. So he just made that one up on the spot. But that sort of the general thought of the matter does sometimes carry over into the iRacing sim. I've seen things that you wouldn't believe just kick off. So I've seen drivers disappear out of thin air. We call it being abducted by aliens over here sometimes. I've seen unusual errors just cost races at the very, very end. Like, only had a few laps to go and a minute and a half of running. Freeman's are much faster than Hewitt now, but he's still got 4.5 to make up. Hewitt seems to be running unusually slowly on those tires as they really fall out from under him. We're very, very close to the white flag, and everybody that's made it to the line has earned their place there. But it's William Lark leading 115 laps of this race, all the way from the back, due to make his win and to punch his name in this championship's record books. Only 2 to go.
Yeah, William Lark is certainly pretty much going to get the win here this season. Taking a look at how this will affect your point standings. William Lark does not have a win this season. He only has 2 top 5. So this will obviously be huge for him in that regard. He came into this race 15th in points. This is going to really jump him further up the point grid here. That'll be a huge help for him. It'll also get him some playoff points, some stage points. Those are going to be huge for him as well. So very good run here for William Lark as he takes the white flag.
This is, I gotta say, out of all the green-white checkers I've seen, this is one of those with the least jeopardy that I've come across. But William Lark has been running so fast for so long, we've not always caught him on camera. That number 10 car will be seeing victory lane here at Charlotte after nearly 400 miles of running. Only 5 made it to the line, but only 1 can win. It's William Lark.
Yeah, 390 miles later, William Lark gets it done here at Charlotte. That is 628 kilometers for the British person up here in the booth with me. As you said, 11th to 1st. He only had 10 cars in the race tonight, so someone must have not taken the green flag for William Lark to go all the way to the front. And he'll do a cool down lap. He'll blast it past the start-finish line. He's having fun out there.
Everybody that's made it is going to have to come and celebrate it. But William Lark hopefully getting to get to do some victory burnouts to mark the end of a tiring run. Here he comes on the backstretch. Give it to us somewhere, William. Look at the dirt on the. I could see a lot of dirt in the front of the car from my angles at the very least. Rolling around in that DuPont Chevy with the classic Pepsi logo on the front as ever. Seen a few heritage NASCAR designs on the field today. This is his first time he's getting to taste Victory Road this season. It might not be the last. William Lark, can he stick it into first 2, burn it down, or is he just going to park it up for us? Give us a show. He's going to keep it peaceful, I think. He's got his own way of doing things, and I respect that.
The pacifist approach to racing. There he goes.
We'll talk to some of our top 3 drivers after this short break.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
390 miles, I've been told, of Charlotte Motor Speedway brings home 5 still on the track. It has been a race of attrition. Race won by William Lark over William Hewitt and Thomas Freeman and Ferdinand. We'd like to speak to all 3 of them if possible, although I do wonder where Lark has gone. I think we've lost Lark entirely. Can you find William Hewitt for me? William the Wit, do you think that's it? Yeah, I
believe that will be him.
I'll have a nice word to him. William Hewitt P2. Looks like our P1 isn't quite available at the moment, so you'll have to do a very, very long and very tiring race. Talk through your experience as you saw everything.
Yeah. No, everything was, it was just about staying out of the wall and keeping grip, keeping lap times, and just chasing the guy in front of me. Wasn't bad.
Lark was untouchably fast as he ran away. Quite a few had incidents that knocked them out of the race in the first half, but you definitely kept it together. Did you get the impression that P2 was on the books going in?
No, I was looking for a top 5, and turns out everybody hitting the wall really, really just did that for me. So just keeping it safe, keeping it out of the wall, and just running the race. But no, Lark was very quick. And
well, good.
He wasn't catchable even if I was on the lead lap.
Well, a good result. Enjoy the finish before we move on. Do you have any other thank yous or shout outs?
I'd like to thank my cats, Cleo and Tally.
What were their names? That's very important information.
Cleo and Tally.
Cleo and Tally, love that for them. You can go and chat with the rest of the drivers, as I think Lark is now back for Sky.
All right, thanks.
Hey, William, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Won by over a lap tonight. How does that feel?
Well, it was. I kind of feel bad about what happened earlier in the race, man. I took out the 28 on accident, man. I got loose and got up into him a little bit, but I was good on the long run, and we had some long runs.
Hey, there you go. When it's a race like this where there's kind of so much chaos over the course of the start, does that make it a little harder when you've got like those cars wrecking?
It does a little bit. It's I mean, there was quite a few. I mean, I got loose quite a few times, but there was a lot of other guys got loose as well, man. You got to try to avoid that, but it was it was a smaller field than normal tonight, I guess, because of the holiday. But I'll take it.
All right. Well, first win of the season. Do you think you can build on this here in future weeks?
Yes, sir, I do. I've been having a few decent races in there. But finally got me a win. Yeah, I think I can build on that. Yes, sir.
All right. Anyone you want to thank tonight?
I want to thank you guys for doing this, man. This is awesome. Thank the guys and the Door to Door Racing League for having me, and yeah, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
All right. Well, congrats on your win tonight, William Lark.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate y'all.
And I think Howie is going to go, and he's going to catch back up tonight with our third place finisher on the field, Thomas Freeman.
Thomas Freeman, the only driver in our top three not named William. You've been a bit of everywhere throughout this race, but you settled into that P3 in good time. Talk us through it.
I gotta tell you, it's a bit of a surprise to me as it was to everybody else, I'm sure. I really did not have a short run car, but I had a setup that managed to save tires, and I just kept on grinding it out and found myself top 5, then top 3. So yeah, very fortunate night for me, very good night, and I'm very thrilled to be top 3.
A real race of attrition. We lost half the grid over time, but you kept it together. How close do you think you were to having another one of those incidents?
There's quite a few. Yeah, I dodged a few bullets there, and as close as you could be without it actually happening. I could have been more fortunate. One of those nights for me, it was a perfect storm. Some of our heavy hitters got knocked out of the race due to unfortunate incidents, and yeah, I just happened to be able to grind it out.
Well, before we wrap up this show, do you have any other thank yous to give out before we can go to celebrate this finish?
Oh, it's nice of you to ask. Yeah, I'd like to thank all the league administrators and all the gentlemen. They know who they are. Too many to list, but the league admins and Ronald and Michael Reeves and the gentlemen who got me involved in this league. I've been looking for something just like this. I'm fairly new to iRacing, and I couldn't be more than happy. I couldn't be happier, rather, than to be with the Door to Door Racing League. It's really a privilege.
There's plenty more to come, and there's plenty more chances to come for you. Enjoy the finish, and we'll just let you we'll let you relax for the rest of the drivers to finish out the night.
That's very kind of you. Thanks. Nice speaking with you. Thank you.
The way I said that implied that there's a chance we don't let him return to the drivers. Like, we have him now, he's ours forever. But no, he has been freed, and that leaves the two of us to wrap up today's race. First race of the season we've covered, not the first of their long season, and plenty more to come there at Nashville Super Speedway next week. Do you have anything to take away from that other than we made it?
Yeah, we did make it to the end. Nashville will be a pretty good one. I will not be there. I don't think you'll be there either. You will have Jeremy Briggs up here in the booth for that one, and he is great at his job. But Nashville is one of my favorite tracks on the schedule. I love that place. It's great in the next gens. It's great in the Xfinity. That track really works everywhere. So I think you're in a good one. You're in for a good one this time. Same time next week.
Nashville just confuses me. I'll be honest, I'll never really understand it, but that's a problem for whoever has to hit it next week. And certainly I'm not hitting that track next week, so that spares me. A great thank you to everyone for watching. But hard work from the booth. I've been Howie Burrows alongside Sky Shrek with Christian Hill in the production hall as well, making it through today's race. Wishing you a great week up ahead and a great Memorial Day, of course, on the Monday.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.